third. Yep.
Oh, because of it's a very western one, they're just going to pick up a car and go on the eastern bridge.
DK's actually going to be going south.
Yeah, but they're just looking for a car. They want to get away from TT Project and the likes of Ulf.
Do you remember where they land, by any chance, Max?
You know what? Don't put me on the spot because I don't.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out if they're going to end up going Novo, if they're going to be going fully south, because I never seen a team just kind of stay there towards the south military base.
There's not a lot of loot there.
Yep.
That is for sure. So hopefully we'll see them get up and get going because they had a rough game one. But this is match number 2. Let's see what happens as we take it on over to our casters, John Allen and Blake.
It does indeed look like the vehicle prediction is going to come through on that South Island. Blank, the circle is going to be okay. It's going to be quite chill to kick things off. We had some very brutal circles at the start of yesterday's airing goals. More sanity is going to prevail here in Group B.
Which is great, which is very, very nice. I think when we're getting up towards that northwest side of the map as well, always interesting around South George, North George. Tough place of the map to play a lot of times when you're around crates. It really does crush a lot of teams into that area, but there's no guarantee it heads there in the first place. I am looking at T2K right now. This is an extremely aggressive early split. They have the pick of the litter when it comes to the sites around Gatka. BTR and RRQ facing off against one another early on in this game. Again, these outlandish things do happen with a playing path like this where there's not really much place to go, and it's Zaki, east side of all places. We're not even in the city itself.
I don't dislike this back off from RRQ, but well, potential back off, I have to say. Just get into the vehicle, get out of there. Standing here, you're just wasting so much time. With the added potential that you can actually just go to Zaki itself and completely leave this entire fight alone. I wonder if they think all 4 players have left for RRQ.
Well, RRQ is doing something fairly interesting here where they're wrapping round the backside towards Zaki. Now, I thought they would take the initiative and move over towards the east here, but they did leave one player behind, so they are invested in this engagement. So a new angle taken for them. There is players with the nade in the building. I think that's smart. You leave your player behind who has the ordnance. He can hold out with this.
Big
nade! My God.
Oh, it's so huge! Oh, it's the biggest nade I've ever seen, Blank. Oh, he gets a bit too overzealous, though. There was a third BTR player to ruin it all. He was... So he had dollar signs in his eyes there, Blank, and now BTR will look to piece this one back together. 2 of their players down, and immediately a snapback on the shutdown there, and RRQ want retribution. It's not going to be easy, though. BTR back and forth, back and forth, and BTR win it out. All 4 of their players alive, a clean wipe after a double nade knock.
Federalis, the 1v4 is unbelievable. Actually crazy stuff coming through for BTR. The addition in, there's big names on that squad, but Federalis is the one that steps up in the end. How does that happen?
What an insane play on the north side. And the fact that they get all 4 players back up and alive. As I said, after a double nade knock on towards them, that was excellent on the revive. Coming back on through. A bit of a misplay from the player up top, I think, from RRQ. Stepping down, trying to go for the flushes. It was a little bit unfortunate there. He might have been able to take the 1v1, but did not expect the third BTR player to be stepping up and into it.
It's one of those situations where you need smokes on the stairs, and I don't think he had any.
Too early.
Kind of confused on what RRQ was trying to go for, right? I mean, you go to the north side, you get new angles on it, you get the first nade, and I do think they were slightly delayed in their approach to assist.
So I think I have a series of events that kind of make sense. I think RRQ were going to fade away and leave their player solo in this, I mean, biggest nade. Leave this player solo in. But BTR definitely knew that there was a player in there, and RRQ had already tried to think about leaving on this angle. You take a look at Federalis stepping out and just doing the dirty. It was pretty beautiful stuff coming on through. So I think RRQ didn't know that BTR knew that there was a player in that building for them, and that might have contributed towards it. But it was, yeah, it was unfortunate that they weren't able to get that regroup in time.
It's a tough task.
A gap in knowledge feels like the only explanation.
It is tough task. Well, I mean, skill issue.
Okay.
You
yeah,
got completely outplayed by Federalis. It's sad to say, but it is the case there. For BTR, they're thanking their lucky stars they have him on the squad. See, that's the thing, though, is you bring in like an outside player like Federalis onto the team of a BTR squad that has been primarily Indo-based the entire time. You bring him in, and he adds a little bit of that aggression to the squad. It's really, really cool.
You love to see it. Foot, they've moved to the southeast side of Hospital, close up towards teams. Into Zone 2, that's where they'll try and leverage that advantage. We'll see if it will pay off. TT Project, they're holding the bridge right now, and Ulf may just walk into this trap.
So it didn't really move all that much. And the guys were talking about at the beginning of the game there, since you grab those vehicles and you start figuring out what your direction to leave is, but there's a lot of pressure to leave on the Western Bridge. TT Project knows that, holds over towards here. They should see the beachhead. All right, you should have the sight lines on this one, so they probably see Solus leaving over towards our eastern side, but there's been players left behind. I think the TT Project's trying to figure out what's going on here.
They are playing very quiet there. They didn't take shots out to Solus. Solus didn't draw any fire. Ulf, very, very cautious on this bridge. To be fair, you might expect that a team is going to try and bridge camp you here. You know that there were at least 3 teams on this island. Are they just stopping off for some late loot? Okay, they're more. I think they're actually more worried about the far side of the bridge.
I don't think that's the case. I think they know that TT Project's here. I think that they send Solus to try and distract, so the wraparound can't come through. Solus does try and make a pretty insane path back towards the team, though, which I think was unnecessary. Now we need good shot. It is paid back in kind, though.
2 players down for Ulf. They will be moving on as 2. Not going to turn around and get stuck into this one. The res is very possible here. Ulf may try. No, they're not going to. They're not going to try and set up on this far side and get a little bit of revenge. Maybe have to take that back, though. Okay, they do stop off. What's going on?
It's okay, bro.
I thought they were going to just get out of there. Why not? You're playing as 2.
They're picking each other back up again. I wonder if the vehicle is absolutely battered.
That might be
Would not surprise me. The circle heads very north on this one. Like I said, you're around Crates, you're around South George, you've got North George involved as well as the forest that sits around shooting range. But there is a big old funnel here, right? You know, Everest is a still massive prominent feature inside of this circle. I would say the south side is very tough to play because you're either playing over towards Ruins, which is a place where you want to end the game, not necessarily where you want to start from, rotating through over towards Box Compound, just over towards that northeast side that currently Boom sits around. Difficult game for a lot of teams. Luckily, most players are already on this western side of the map due to the playing path.
You can as well, in this early stage of the game, go for a big eastern wrap, right? East of Rozhok, maybe even to Yasnaya, potentially, through that bridge, and enter the circle on the north side. The north positions seem so much freer right now in terms of mobility, in terms of not necessarily, and occupancy right now.
Absolutely. I'd agree with you. The north side is so much more open. Unfortunately, getting back towards the south is the difficulty, right? You play on the north side, you're gambling with the circles moving north, because if you are not in Crates, you are not on Everest, you are not in South George, or on the coastal positions, you're locked out.
You're not in the game.
Yeah. The bar has been dropped and the door is completely barricaded. So I do think it's a tough one. It's a lot of tough decisions. I think Rozhok Bridge probably going to be the most likely point of injection for a lot of these squads. Geeke's already heading up there. You got Wolves coming through. The remnants of Ulf to slip on by stealthily as possible.
I don't think they're going to be able to do it, though. I think, yeah, Eren trying to move in behind. Ketch has been spotted by Foot as well, who are playing around Boatyard right now. Wolves are going to go for the crossing. We saw Geeke already get across, so yeah, all of those teams making their way on through. Looks like we've only actually got 3 teams on the south flank. We've got Hustler Crew there. We've got R8. We've got T2K as well, playing on that south side. And everybody else going to try and commit up towards the north edge.
Yeah, like you say, it's way more open. You know, it's easier to find a spot here, and a lot of teams were far on that south side to begin with. They realize that the options are looking thin for them. Hustler Crew, they take a very big split across Ruins. They've got Castle, they've got the compounds that sit underneath Everest. It's a good way to set up just in case you do get a hard south shift on the circle.
How likely that is to be, I'm not sure. T2K do a similar thing with crates as well as Everest. They are trying to confirm as many positions as they can on this south side. We're about to see the circle shift now. See who it favors.
PT Project on a very low rotate. They're just past farm, I think. That is, you can see on the picture-in-picture, the circle does really start to commit up towards the north side, Blank.
Hey, guess who's over there? It's the Vicious. They're currently central position on the map.
You're right.
Jukes was talking, is it the back-to-back at the start of the day compared to the back-to-back at the end? Potentially.
A back-to-back, back-to-back? Maybe. Could be. We'll have to wait and see. Vicious in their central position, though, do need to hold out these hills. And we saw how many teams had committed up to the north side already. They'll have a lot of people trying to poke their noses in right now.
Yeah.
And they're playing still fairly split, about 200 meters between some of their players at the moment. They're going to coalesce to a 2-2. It's not how you want to start it. Ooh, very well maybe flushed away. Indeed it is. They're down to 3 players, and that central position just got a lot more untenable.
Well, this is a mistake. This is a mistake coming through from the Vicious. Right now, Wolves also taking a lot of damage on side, but it's a mistake from Vicious, right, where your eyes are bigger than your belly, right? That's the problem, where they try to hold so much space there towards the center. They should have known that there is an incredible amount of teams on this north side. I think you become happy with the fact that you got center. You don't try and go for these 200-meter splits.
That's unfortunate. Maybe they were just caught in flux and weren't expecting the pace of teams around them. I'm not entirely sure, but you're right. A bit of a misstep there. Loops going to try and challenge them in that central location as well, but turning around, just getting some information, sending a scout out from their compound. Will not fully commit just yet. Still, we have 2 teams on the south, as Hustler Crew have managed to get all 4 players up into the north side.
Yeah, it's still passing by on Boatyard towards Middle Island. It's on the river. And they get themselves over towards that southeast. They could deal with TT Project, currently playing a massive split, by the way, on this eastern side. But for them, I think this is more trying to put a little bit of pressure on the bubble, right? See where they can pop it and make their way in. It looks like they're going to go for a south shift on this one. They're going to rotate down, see what they can get done versus Hustler Crew and potentially Boom.
Ooh, a knock over towards Hustler Crew. That is in the main cabal of their team, so they could go for these reses. But yeah, TT, they are just sending it all the way down south very, very quickly. The flush comes out as well, as RJC seem to have angles on this. And TT Project descend almost immediately to try and get their way into this next part of the circle. A nice answer. That's Boom from the north side. Got to slow them down on the approach. So even numbers now between TT and Hustler Crew. But Neos makes short work of that. Opens up with another knock. A roll down from Zerich. Not going to let them get that one back either. So 2 players for Hustler Crew. They're going to get rattled.
They are. And again, for Hustler Crew, I think this is a rude awakening for them, honestly, where you come into this, in their interviews, they were incredibly confident about PMGO. It's a different beast, man. It's not the same as just playing in Western Europe. There are some good teams in Western Europe, but there is quite a few teams that are also a little bit of fodder. And I think that Hustler Crew came in looking very hot there. It's not the same dealio over in PMGO. These teams are insanely good.
The circle did pop up as well during that. It's gone all the way west, Blank, which, I mean, does give Vicious a little bit better of standing here. You've also got Wolves very, very central, but both of those teams have lost players. I'm looking at BTR right now. On that north side, they'll be able to move along the ridge lines from those shooting range hills as long as GK don't take them down.
GK, last game, the only team in about a year to go down the first 3 minutes on Rondo. And versus BTR, who are coming off the back of some really big highs versus RRQ. I do have my doubts, but I'm willing to be proved wrong. Nade's going over towards Boom. Man, as if you get taken down by that nade. It's so far away. The shrapnel just hits him in the little pinky, takes him down. Tough stuff.
Everyone has to get away from the blue zone, though. It is starting to get a little bit dangerous. Zerich up onto the high ground, has the shots, has the shot down over towards Boom as they roll on forwards. Can't quite find it, but his teammates a lot better faring on that effort. Zerich is worried about the player up to his top and does need to be, but Beryl able to turn that one around on him, and in from the north side, it's actually Foot who are going to careen down the hill, and this might be the end of both of these two teams. Geeke go down first, and now TT Project might just be next on the chopping block.
For Foot, this is a big opportunity, right? You clear out the entirety of the eastern side, way easier pushing. You now can figure out where you want to play on the north. You can play down towards the south, potentially. There's a lot of options given to you for Foot if they are able to clear this out, but it looks like they're backing off a little bit. The Vicious, instead, using the ridge side that sits over towards their west to deny sight lines. I think they've got the same idea. Clearing out the east is the most profitable thing for them to do right now because they can start playing in and dealing with those teams on the west without fear of that 180 on their back.
Vicious sent 2 out to try and poke their noses into this east side scrap, but they left Icy on his own and abandoning that hill in the middle of it all. And Foot, yeah, they just get around on the north side.
Yeah, I mean, the ridge side for the Vicious right now is not something they want to play on. Because there's a lot of sight lines from the high ground on the western side. So for the Vicious, it's just a case of denying these locations in. Frozen does get up. Doran's going to swing back out again. Surely he hears the vehicles now.
Okay, dangles over towards Enigma Galaxy, who have currently got a foothold on a building down towards the south, the east points of North George. They can potentially regroup onto it. We're back on board with our duo of Ulf, who have survived from that bridge camp earlier on, who are still alive and in this zone. See if they can survive a little bit longer. Enigma Galaxy wanting to leave a parting gift as they roll over this ridge line. Geeke not wanting to let them go. Send it back in kind. Ooh, a lot of damage over towards Satan, but will not be able to get that knock. A pick up very, very quickly. Some healing ticking up for Lord as well. And off they go down the hill.
Real important to get away from this one. Enigma Galaxy needs to stay alive. They didn't have the greatest of performances on that last game. Now that is a big pickup from Koa. Over towards Zedwolf. For the Vicious, it's hard for them to aggress over towards Foot because it's the 3v4. We suddenly even the odds now. Doran starts to move up. Frozen primes the grenade, but Doran is creating a lot of problems in the midst of it. And with Foot playing over towards this north side, there's great angles for them. Swain goes down. That's a second.
Koa doing bits right now for his team. Vicious happy to have him on side, able to get the first opener, get that flush, look for that knock. This off angle now coming through from Doran. He does need to be careful. Nades will start to fly. The hop out of the buggy, but it's going to roll away, so no hard cover there. Relying on his teammates, Koa does go down and get flushed as Frozen wins that 1v1 on the angle. It's up to Icy and Doran now. Down in the dirt, needs to try and keep himself alive, keep himself going in this fight. A nade is cooking. There are nades on both sides though. Frozen is still in this fight and Icy not quite able to step up in time. A lot of damage, but not quite the knock. And Doran's still in danger.
Doran wrapping back around the side, knows he's got time to throw this grenade. He doubles back, just needs to make sure he gets the distance on it, and he gets it perfect. Airburst straight on his head. Icy pulled himself off from the building, but he doesn't provide any support here. Doran trying to heal up, but the flush will go through to Icy 100%. The Vicious now down to 1. Potentially Icy there needed to come with the team. I think when you're in that situation versus a 3v4, you're absolutely asking for it when you're going for a 2v4 when it could be 3 players on side.
Doran now looking to try and get across. Will look to confirm this flush. Frozen won't be able to get his teammate back up, but Frozen did so much for them there as well. For Foot, it looked like they started to wane, but both teams now on 1 player alive, and the east side is now a lot more available potentially. It's Gaming Stars actually stepping up towards BTR, and a big nade to open it. A lot of damage as well, and there's a wraparound on the north.
For Enigma Galaxy, this is a great third party. They get themselves over towards that north side. Obviously, the circle is going to be pushing them in, but it's a real good opportunity to take down 2 teams at the same time. But the swing around is real, and they're instantly getting shots over towards them. GSTR was not happy about that.
Goodness me, those are the stars in your eyes right now. Gaming Stars rolling over the backlines for Enigma Galaxy. 2 players down now. BTR weren't able to chime in. They were too busy getting their teammates back up, but now they can start to march forwards. They can sweep out this northern edge. No one's pushing them. No one's going to stop them as they roll up the hilltop, looking to try and sweep everything aside. Gaming Stars are being dismantled now, and BTR with 4 players alive, 7 elims on side, get rid of the thorns in their side.
I think for Enigma Galaxy there, understandable push to go for it, but the fight just didn't fully break out in kind. BTR on this game, 8 eliminations for an incredible squad wipe at the beginning of this one, looking to take things further.
Wolf still alive, by the way, as a duo. They're going to turn their attention over towards R8 on the riverbanks. This is all the way on the south edge of the circle. Aaron and Ketch, you can't count them out. It could be a top 4.
Really, really good players. And they still have the Crescent Moon on the south side of the map to work around with as Ulf starts to work their way over. Frozen off in the distance, just trying to live this one out as long as possible. As placement points today are so incredibly important. Now, how does BTR figure this out? I think potentially you can try and crash the shack that currently Wolves are playing. It's very open ground around there, and then potentially try and work your way down towards that Crescent and clear up the stragglers. But BTR doesn't really have a huge amount of information on that. They have mostly been looking over towards the western side.
And obviously up to that north side on that last fight as well. They could potentially go for a wide east wrap and try and sweep through Frozen and approach the riverbank, but I mean, that's a pretty wild rotation, and it all relies on info, right, as to where and when they think they can move.
Just don't know for BTR right now if there's a 4-man team on the east. That's the big issue. They're not entirely 100% on it because it easily could be R8 playing that position. They've seen them been clearing in the elimination feed. So for BTR, the option sort of is where Wolves is currently playing or some really big scouting missions in the near future.
R8 trying to make their way up from the riverbank now. A knock here may give the game away as to where R8 are playing, because BTR should be able to hear these shots. They'll know this location.
Dear.
A big nade from Eren, and another comes on through from Ketch as well. And 2 players down for R8.
No
Looks on
way.
the money. Oh my goodness me. Ulfers 2 just roll these boulders down the hill, and R8 are caught lacking. With Marth on the back line, he's in no position to go for these reses, but the info can be fed back over. They'll spot these players running forwards.
Loops flying into this one. This is 3 points for the boys, and they're happy to pick them up. Ulf now step a little bit too far forward maybe, but they've just taken on a 4-man squad.
BTR.
Possible to do it again. Good shots from BTR. They spot the push across, and Loops are forced to leave that compound of relative safety on that southwest side. BTR making the move.
They're moving in from that northern edge. Wolves are going to try and slow them down, but can they make the crossing? It looks like maybe they can. Loops really don't have the pressure right now to stop them as they approach from that northern side. A mad dash across, and they are over the ridgeline now. Ulf still have 2. In they go against Loops. 1 down, but they find that answer. Looking for more now as Law still right up and close to them. Eren finally falls. The first gap in the armor that maybe they can find as Loops' forward position is almost immediately dispatched. 2 players down for BTR. They need to find something back. Rafinha wants to step forwards, but immediately rebuffed. Eren now, the last player for Ulf, still live and kicking, as is Marth.
At this point in time, Rafinha's terrified, right? He can't really step out too much because the placement points aren't really kicking in just yet. Eren will take down the final player from R8 there. 6 elims on the game. They've done fairly decently at the moment. Currently up toward 3rd place at the moment, 19 points. But it's Ulf on the chase.
BTR looking to piece themselves back together after a mad dash across. I think they've got all
Okay.
4 players there, but that's a big nade.
Okay.
Oh, huge. What an opener from Eren. I don't know how many more he's got left in the pocket. He's got 5 nades.
Underhander.
Underarm for more damage. Won't get the flush, though. Has more cooking. BTR sending them back up, but they don't know where he is. He's sidestepping them. He's getting around. 1 burnout comes through. Eren steps forward. He wants more. BTR now suffering under the pressure from the nades from Eren. Moving up now, Razak wants to try and slow him down, but he's going to go for it. And they'll find it. Another
Okay.
Eren, what are you doing? How can you do it to me? Eren 1v4! Eren 1v4's BTR! What a desperate play for Eren, and he makes it work. I said you couldn't count him out, and he will fall finally. But that is just about the craziest thing. Oh my goodness me, and Frozen as a solo from the northeast side of it.
Insane stuff. Eren, a rising star last year, but this year he drops like a meteor on the top of BTR. And it is just over. What started as an incredible push from BTR down from that northern side ends in tears.
My vocal cords are never going to recover from Alpha 7, followed by that play. Goodness me, it is absolutely insane. And now Frozen in a 1v2. That was a nasty situation over on the northeast edge before, where we saw the engagement that they had and they were getting burnt away against the Vicious. And now he has a chance to take it all home, maybe find that chicken dinner. but so do the Wolves.
For the Wolves, it'll be a nice makeup, right? Their Rondo was meant to be their big match. If they get themselves a chicken dinner on game 2, make them feel a lot better here. Frozen taking shots. But I mean, they know it's just 3 of you. You can't really scare them all that much.
Couple of love taps from the rifles there. Wolves playing it central. They don't need to move here, Blaine. They are so chill right now. It is on Frozen to make the first peak.
Wolves, they've got the dot, right? No matter what happens, it's going to end over towards them. Frozen, to be honest, the high EV play here is probably to deny the point.
You may well be right, but you don't need to do it just yet. He's got 5 nades.
He does have a boatload of nades, probably
And 20 bandages.
partly errands.
I don't know if he stepped down to go for those loot crates, because there's a lot down there. There's all the BTR knocking about too. He's going to break wide. Okay. Looks like he's not going to go for the denial. Along the ridgeline, stepping forwards. A nade over the top. They should spot this one incoming. Maybe not. Does take a lot of damage, and another nade to find it. Frozen drops wide, goes low against Elementrix. Position not going to be known, but he walks nearly back into the nade. With 3 more in the pocket. Wolves are not giving him anything.
The American team not giving for any freedom here to work around with. Wolves continue to pressure forward. One nade has to hit. That's basically the only way he gets anything done, and he's spent. He's completely spent. It has to be a wild 1v2 now for Frozen. Pushes up, takes a fair bit of damage. This is over.
It should be. By rights, it should be completely over, but he spots one. Has to duck around the bullets, but the final damage from the nade there takes it down, and the Wolves find a chicken dinner. Some crazy situations in that game, though, Blank. Goodness me.
I mean, it's just wild, right? I mean, Eren, previously on Zeus, throughout multiple teams, now finds himself on a bit of a god squad here, and he certainly struck like lightning over towards BTR. They never saw that coming. We're having a quiet, cool contemplation of what happened that last game. Eren seems quite pleased with himself. The rest of the team trying to figure out what went wrong.
Not giving Eren everything, giving him more nades, you know? That's what he needed, maybe, in that scenario. What a really, really incredible position for him to be able to hold that with the nades that he had. I mean, Frozen was able to close it down, but that kind of is the standout play from that game.
Yeah, again, for Vicious, it's just these tiny little mistakes that can cause you big problems, but those mistakes can then be broken down a little bit further on the desk.
USA! USA! USA!
Let's go! The Wolves end up getting a chicken dinner, but hey, you know who cares about that? We gotta talk about that end game, guys. That end game was absolutely ridiculous!
Okay, we need a 2-hour podcast to break down whatever happened there.
Welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, there was so much happening on that eastern George Pole mountaintop.
Yep.
Initially held down by the duo of Ulf, pushing up by R8, and then when that fight kind of falls apart, Loop send it, followed up
Great
by
awareness, by the way.
Bigatron. The steps there were just absolutely crazy from start to finish, Seven. I would even go to say that was the best single moment of the entire tournament.
It honestly was. First of all, I gotta give some props for BTR because they were able to spot what Loops was trying to do, and they just fully sent it to them.
Yeah.
And they were looking so good until a player named Eren decided to just dust off whatever strategy they had on their mind.
Well, yeah, so, okay, props to Eren, right? Eren had some really good moments. You might have seen their drink, but actually,
Really good moments.
they pushed one by one. One by one by one. They just give the opportunity for him to just clap back with the TBS. Eren had an incredible moment, but it was definitely thrown by the other side.
Aaron, that was the best play we have seen so far in PMGO Season 1.
Oh, man, that was
Agreed.
so hype.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
We literally jumped out of our dang seats, dude. We saw that. It was so absolutely ridiculous. Cool stats and all. You know, one thing I want to ask, though, right? When it comes to loops in that play, what do you think about them leaving Rafina there in the back line?
I don't hate it because
I
what
enjoyed
it does is it stops any teams like Ulf, for example, to actually peek over the ridgeline, and it keeps the entire ridgeline in check. And then it actually kind of worked out versus BTR a little bit. We just get eliminated. But a 3-1 split in that position, I think, is exactly what Loops had to do. But staying in that dip, though, was a little bit risky because there, in that situation, 7, BTR had the angle.
In a way, it kind of prolonged that fight, too, because it forced BTR to slow down. They expected everybody from Loops to be there, especially once they got that knock from far away. They were not expecting Rafina. Rafina fully slowed that down. And it ultimately ended up helping out Ulf as well because he was able to kind of sell himself out. They ended up pushing one by one. But overall, great plays. I do have to go back and I want to kind of point this out. And I know we were, I guess, in a way negative in regards to this team after Rondo, but I got to be negative in regards to this team once again, Max, and it's none other than T2K. Because they had a great split, and you're going to be looking at the match ranking here. They had a great split on Everest. They had 3 on Everest and 1 on Jojo Crates, but instead of going to Crates, they decide to go south, away from the circle as well.
They went to Ruins, but the thing is that you're not saying there is Crates was still in the circle.
Yeah. they had so much room to work with.
Like, literally, I'm not even joking. If they took that position, they would have been in the spot R8 were in
Yep.
that match, playing under the bridge, on the rocks near the bridge, able to push up onto the duo of Ulf. Maybe off the back of that fight, they could have won the entire game, but they went for this more passive rotation. Passive is fine sometimes, but I feel like this was definitely over passive from T2K. So that games they need to learn right now and have a big step up if they want to be in the top 6.
Yeah, you don't really want to be. I just honestly don't know what they were thinking first. You want to be passive. You had a bad run. You don't want to have a bad aerial. Now you have a bad aerial. You're going to end up being forced to do something erratic, and that's not the position you want to put yourself in with just 4 matches left.
Yeah.
Let's look at this. Overall rankings right there, and it's Vicious leading the charge with 27 points.
Well, that's the Rondo effect right there. Happening here for Vicious. But actually, you know what? We're going to talk about Bigatron. Because,
Oh my gosh.
oh my goodness, these guys love hot drops. Danching in the last game here on the outskirts of Zaki versus RRQ. And this time it was not my boy Razak stepping up, right? It was your boy stepping up.
But that's what we want to see out of this squad. And I feel like that might be one thing that actually hindered BTR there at the end. Yes, they were able to make a push at the beginning on Loops as a squad, not as individuals. But at the end, when they ended up going against Aaron, it seems like they were just too eager to finish off the fight. They weren't thinking as a team, and they were just thinking as individuals, and it hurt them in a big way.
I'm going to bring you up on another topic here that you were very passionate about. Northwestern side, there were 3 teams fighting outside of the zone. BTR looking to actually gatekeep them.
Yeah.
And it got kind of saved by Nigma Galaxy, right? In the weirdest fashion possible.
We were calling out the game out perfectly. Seppi was working out in weird ways. And yes, it was Nigma Galaxy that was able to just save the life of BTR. I don't remember who they were fighting with at the moment, but for them, they were about to get fully wiped out. Nigma Galaxy saved them in a big way, and it was good. It was good. Yeah, it was good recovery for BTR. But yeah, at the end, I mean, it's just great plays. But at the end, you need to make sure you end up playing as a squad and not as individuals.
I think even Bigatron was surprised they were alive. After
Dude,
that. Like,
right?
we're alive. I guess we go for like a
Great
Pokemon.
recovery though
Guys,
from them.
Home court advantage is a thing at this point, right? I mean, we saw it happen yesterday. We see it happen here. BTR is coming out swinging here. They're representing it. That's what I love to see. You know, I know Group A was like the group of death and everything. When it comes to Group B, though, I don't know if it's like the group of like tacticians, or I don't know what those actually describe it as, because they're all playing this so dang well. Everybody is just making the right plays at the right time.
There's not one team that's currently dominating.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it comes down to. Yesterday, what we saw a lot of is one team that was just dominating in a way that they were getting most of the points. Right now, that's not the case. I mean, we saw it perfectly on the overall. You saw first place, 27 points, all the way down to 6th place with 19 points. It's even more compact than yesterday.
Actually, I want to go on a little bit of an early state. We talked about the last fight a lot, so I'm going to take us a little bit back here on Circle 1 with the plane path. Western Bridge from Military Island over to the mainland. 2 teams involved, TT Project and Ulf. I don't think TT Project intended of gatekeeping the bridge as much as they did. But the main issue I had is Ulf sending it without check-in. If a team is going to be set up over there, cost them 2 players. If they had 4 players in that position,
Oh, man.
I think that was an Ulf win waiting to happen.
You don't think they were being set up? I thought that TT was actually setting themselves up for it. With the angles that they had, they expected Ulf to just fully send it like that. And one thing that I didn't actually like about TT after that fight, after they ended up eliminating 2 players, if I'm not mistaken, from Ulf, was that they decided to just go all the way around. The reason why I didn't actually enjoy that is because the circle at this point was very far away from where that fight was going on. If they knew Ulf, if they did a little bit more research on Ulf, they know that they were just going to be fully focused on getting to the circle, especially when you only have less than 4 players. You don't have your full squad anymore. I feel like they just took out way too much time on an unnecessary rotation to the east.
I do think because it was a very Western playing path, it kind of forced teams in the positions they don't usually go to, like Geeke, right?
Yep.
I think that really caught them off guard, and they have to try and adapt because you've got 2 more angles, so you better try and fix that. Otherwise, that's really going to cause an issue for, again, your only 6 games you have total today.
Man, it's so crazy here. I think that this group in particular, more than any other one, right, or at least the Group A, just shows that you have to capitalize on every opportunity you get, right? When it comes to one game where you get gifted a zone, you gotta put some serious numbers on the boards because, I mean, we saw that push all the way from the other side from BTR. That timing was so incredible, you can't guarantee that you're gonna get another good match.
You're talking about teams being able to take advantage of what's given to them and like put up some serious numbers. We were looking at Wolves there at the end. They were alive. They only had 1 elimination. That was the most given. You can see they only ended up with 2 elims for that win.
Hey, we'll
the
take
most
that, baby.
given
Hey, we'll take
win
that.
ever.
They fell asleep a little bit. Like, the game's still happening.
We're taking the match ranking to third place. They got the 3rd most points in that one. Hey, but if you're giving it, you'll take it, especially here at this point.
4th place overall.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
You know what? The timing was right at the end. We're joking about, like, oh, okay, all the other teams are having big fights, but the timing was right. They took the ridgeline. They used the circle to force that one solo player coming their way, and it just didn't work out. So GG on Wolves getting a win, but I feel like if the circumstances were a little bit different, it would have been a little bit harder for them to wrap up that as a chicken dinner.
A lot harder. But one team that we didn't really get a chance to see in regards to placement points, but I do got to give them some props because they're continuing to just go on the trend that I thought that it was going to be going. It's none other than Esports Rejects. They were able to get 4 elimination points in this Erangel, and honestly, for this squad, I had 0 expectations for them. I was expecting them to be, and as bad as this sounds, I was expecting them to be in the bottom 2. Right now, they're showing me that they can probably be a team that can be in the top 6.
Well, let's see who's going to be at the top 6 at the end of the day. But this is match number 3. We are going into Erangel once again. After this match, we are halfway done with Group B. And we can take a look here at this play path. Woo, we're going to the south side on this one.
Well, again, it's not a good
Wait, this is the same play path from yesterday in the first Erangel.
Aurora, no! Luminous, not them.
Wait,
They would have loved it.
what's going to happen now with Geeke? He's going to get a freebie there in Novo. I want to see some of the other squads. What are they going to be doing?
Actually, I think
Ulf,
TT
you have to be aware that you might get gatekept again.
Yes, but TT Project normally, I think they're going to be the ones trying to make their way into Nova. That's usually one of their past locations, unless they decide to just relinquish it fully to
I think they
Geeke.
might
And
be.
I think
Bay either. When it
even
comes
the
to
Rondo
Erangel.
was a bit weird,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
This is going to be wild. Are we going to get that military circle, though? That's going to be the question. Will it go down south? We will find.
Is Ulf switching it up, boys?
Oh,
I'm not seeing Ulf
They're going
anywhere
to mansion
here.
area, shelter
Okay.
mansion. Yep.
oh, okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to
Especially
get
after
next
what
to TT
happened.
Projects. Yeah.
They learned their lesson, but
And
guess
that
what?
way-
Gaming Star is going to take advantage of
Yeah,
it.
Gaming Stars are going to be going for military base instead, so a big little bit of a change here we are witnessing for these teams.
Well, let's take a look at the circle. Oh, wow. So not a military circle. It's going all the way up the top. But let's go ahead and take it on over to our casters, John Allen and Blank.
All right, we're going up to the northeast this time around. Thank you very much, Hot Duke 7 Max. We are going to be heading into our second Erangel of the day, match number 3 of our 6-match set for Group B. The plane paths have been pretty nasty, I think it's safe to say, at PMGO. It's just what we're delivering, I guess. That's what we're pulling out.
Yeah, we got one of the most brutal formats of all time into nasty plane paths, nasty circles. It's a double whammy. And we don't like double whammies here over at PUBG Mobile. Last game, something to behold, honestly, from Eren on his 1v4 to BTR with Federaz. I think it was a 1v3, actually. But still crazy stuff. Absolutely insane stuff coming out from that match on Eren. And, you know, we've had to pump the gas right at the beginning of the day, as well these guys, with Hustler Crew on a bit of a replay here versus RJC. Get themselves their second point.
I thought they'd been dropped in with 3. I thought there was something going on, and I was looking over at their player booth, and I was thinking, what's going on? But no, they just died, unfortunately. A little bit of a stab from Hustler Crew to actually, they're sat next to each other in the booths. So, you know, that could get a little bit nasty. That could get a little bit nasty, that's all I'm saying. But Hustler Crew going to defend their apartments drop, spreading out to the east. They've got a lot of access to areas like Yasnaya.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in to start off with. Over on that southwest side, you've got a lot of ground that you can cover, a lot of ground to be taken. Yasnaya being completely open is kind of not what I expected here over on this plane, well, on this circle, but with the plane path being where it was, very hard to make the distance to get over towards Yasnaya in the first place. For RJC, they made the most instantaneous of rollouts over towards Severny at the start of this game.
Unfortunately, they lost a player, though, to that hot drop, right? Which is not great. They were talking about Ulf as well, adjusting over towards this area. I believe that their military drop in the first game was actually a backup drop, because remember, the plane path was so far on the west. I think they'd wanted to go out east anyway, initially, and they're going back to that now, which may explain why they weren't super prepared for their bridge crossing situation.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I like what they tried to do with Solar standing over towards the eastern side, trying to create a little bit of chaos in the midst of it whilst wrapping around, but wasn't meant to be. There's Eren happily with 13 elims on the day so far. That's over 2 matches, which is a kind of wild result, right? Almost looking at a 7 elim average per game. It would be doubtful to see that go up. Yeah. But more than likely, he's going to go down over the next 6 matches. But again, Ulf is a big favorite for PMGO Season 1. Even going through to the Grand Finals, I think a lot of teams peg this squad as 100% being in the top 6, at least in Group B, and having a good chance at the top 6 over towards Grand Finals.
I'm taking a look at the top 6 right now, Blank, and I'm looking at the score lines, right? Right now, it is so much closer overall than we saw being the case in Group A at this point in the day. There is a very, very close gap between, you know, 7th really to 1st. That is a surmountable gap of 9 points between them. So very much possible for anyone to slip and fall, bonk their head and get dropped down towards the middle block, or even further beyond that if they're not careful. And the bubble sat at between 40 and 41 points. That was the bubble spot that we saw in that last game. So as teams start to cross that, they will start to feel safer and safer as these matches go on, which will hopefully feel good for them. At the moment, Vicious obviously leading the charge on 27 with 2 solid games. Unfortunately, losing too many players in that last match. And on that northeast side, if 4 of them had survived, it would have been a different story.
It would have been a very different story. Well, we got Boom on our screens, playing towards Rozhok, heading over towards the east side. Yaz fields are just so empty. Yaz is empty. Good shot from RQ over towards Geeke. Saf G goes down. Weren't expecting this one. RQ on a holdout on the south side of Milta here, and more shots raining through over towards Geeke. They've got the hovercraft too, so quick maneuverability and a tanky vehicle to be running around in.
Geeke just going to try and slip under the purview of them, but RRQ are right there with that backstop position as well. Genforce does get spotted though, and not. Okay, this should be a flush over onto Genforce. Don't think they're going to be able to keep him under control. Ragnarok should have enough cover to just go for all that flush. Nasty stuff. So RRQ try and lay a trap for Geeke, but they bite back.
Genforce going down is really bad news, because honestly, for Genforce, he was the big piece of the puzzle here for RRQ. The hovercraft does come through. The player goes down in the front lines. It's not good for either side, though, at the moment.
Able to get his teammate back up and into action. Much less likely that Ragnarok's going to get his teammates back on through. A solo survival effort may be what it's going to take there. after the revive. Lepar will just step on forwards and get that flush.
Still at 3, but yeah, losing a player like this early on in the game, we do need to keep saying this over and over that for a lot of our squads here, one bad game can be the difference between being out in survival stage and getting into the top 6. For instance, for Hustler Crew, DK, both teams with 3 and 2 points apiece. You look at that, and right now, we're sort of thinking survival stage at the minimum.
It may well be the case, but right now Hustler Crew are pretty convincingly in a central area. They've got an elim point already on this game. So could maybe turn things around, but they've been in central positions before. It tends to be what we've seen from them, right? Getting central early, then not quite able to convert in this global lobby. And it has been unfortunate for the first 2 matches. Won't count them out just yet.
Yeah.
In my book, you know, an S2G is possible, but
that it is.
It's very, very unlikely.
But again, we have to give credit to Hustler Crew. This, like we said before, super unknown team, very little experience on the main stage. So I do think for them, this is a learning experience, right? That's how they should look at it. I think that you're trying to test the waters with a lot of these teams that you maybe haven't played with before either. So yeah. Again, I think it's a big thing that I need to consider as well, just for teams getting into this who maybe just don't have that information just yet. It's just a tough format. It's just a really, really tough format for that to happen.
The rush for Stalber now. That circle is hard up to the north side, Blank. It's even catching Kameshki in there on the northern edge. A lot of that coastline too. Teams starting to move fast. We saw T2K surrounding Severny and will cost RJC another player, so they're playing on us too, as everybody starts to go for this dash. Foot and Enigma Galaxy both on your screens right now. They're kind of at the back of the queue on the east point of Yasnaya. There are so many teams already making their hasty path north.
Hustler Crew, fast on the mark here, but very split, like you say. They're going the distance, but anchoring is going to be the difficulty here. BTR, one of the first teams to get up towards that northern side. The Vicious made a wide wrap over towards the western side of Stalber, actually getting a little bit further ahead. Moment, so it's going to get very messy on the south.
Oh, T2K on that northern side. Gonna have a good time potentially. Enigma Galaxy losing Ralph. They are now down to 3. Wolves take a knock as well as Gaming Stars step up to it. They are going to struggle to get that one back up. I don't think they're really gonna have any hope of getting that one back into play. They're just gonna have to hunker down and play on us 3. We'll have to try and regroup as well onto Baton. This location as BTR stand to their south. Yeah, I don't think they're getting him.
With such a southern playing path, this is what's going to happen, right? So many teams coming up from that south side. The Vicious play a blinder by getting over towards, T2K play a blinder by getting over towards that northern edge of the map, which is great news for them.
No one else is going to step there. I mean, R8 on the western side may actually be able to get up towards the top of Stalber and may give them pause for thought. But T2K looking to take down the rest of Wolves, who have already lost Elementrix as well, which puts them on 2. So quite a bloody rotate up towards this northern side for a lot of our rosters. A lot of damage being dished out, but there have been quite a few full 4s that have made it through. T2K will sort of preside over proceedings for the time being and see what they can see. For the teams further down to the south, there is still quite a lot of ground there that they can cover.
Yeah, it's about stabilization, isn't it, really? Nice shot from Slonic. We'll find Fearless there. It's a great pickoff for Wolves, who needed to get themselves into a bit more of an even footing versus T2K. Sadly, Federales, from the off angle, will find Slonic, and Nade doesn't quite find him. But is that spot very resable? I would probably say no.
Almost certainly not. BTR will be denied the point, however. That will go over towards T2K, but losing Fearless there. Nasty when they're looking to try and leverage every angle that they can. That's going to give R8 a better time there. And actually, TT Project, all the way out on the west side, they've been late on this rotate in the last game. They're going to be similarly delayed on this rotate as well. They're going to be inserting from that western edge. past R8 though, and it should be a 4v4 on that angle. But actually from the south as well, Foot are going to crash into the R8 compound. This could be a great opportunity for TT to try and third party.
It will be. I mean, they do need to get themselves over towards this position. On the southwest side, that compound is usually very, very nice for the likes of R8 as well as Foot, but TT Project still a ways away. Information gain not really there for them either.
Rez has come out over onto Frozen. Foot will not be able to push up towards the R8 compound, and actually the north point of R8's hold, Marth, is a bit isolated. TT may be able to cut this one off, and R8 going to be very reluctant to leave from their compound. Such a strong position, and Foot will try and backfill it. Marth, it's on him to regroup with the rest of the roster and do so successfully.
For Marth on R8, it's looking like he's going to regroup with the squad right now. Heads down towards that south side, past the zip lines. Again, TT Project, they've got to be careful. They really have to be careful. They don't have all the information in the world to work with here. They're being very cautious on their push through. They're going to scout over towards Stalber at the moment. They might be able to wrap around that north side. The time is running out to make that play, though, at the moment, but certainly possible. On board with Vicious at the moment. These guys are down towards the very southern edge, just outside the northern fields of Yaz. Yet to make their way in just yet. I think for a lot of our squads, they found themselves some homes on the map at the moment. When you look over towards Stalber on that north side, you do have that almost stairway up towards Stalber where you can sit yourself in the midst of the rocky outcrops. That's going to assist a lot of teams in terms of placement, in terms of area that they can play in.
I mean, speaking of playing in area, BTR currently on a 2-1-1 split on 3 of those locations, and playing very bold with it. And fortunately for them, the number of teams around them with the oversight from T2K, I think it's fairly safe. I mean, getting pushed from the west is maybe the biggest threat. Potentially Loops, actually, over towards the east side of it as well, but this is, I think, the right time to be holding this 2-1-1 split. That does need to start to collapse, potentially in the next minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, that sort of time frame. And with this next circle, yeah, okay, now they do need to regroup, and they need to pick a point to go to.
Yeah, you're likely going to regroup on top of Razak here and try and start clearing teams on that north side. Makes the most sense to them at the moment. They do need to pass over the top of Hustler Crew, but like we said, this is a bit of a slope up towards that north side, so Hustler Crew might not have the angles down towards it. This is that big wrap we were talking about earlier. They did end up going for it. They thought it's more optimal for us to clear the entirety of the northern side, then we can know where all the players are and know we just need to fight south.
Like Vicious and Foot is going to pop off there. Koa gets knocked and flushed for Vicious. That is unfortunate. They found an Elim, but they are going to just divert around this one, try and sneak their way through the rest of this. Past Foot, past R8 potentially, as they roll up on the side of this cliff. R8 up on top of them, and it will be dangerous. The shots will rain down upon them as Amori's there. Doran goes very, very low, but just about wins that trade. A nice result, but Amori once more. A nade up behind him, forces him to take the peak, but he's all too happy to go for it. A shutdown maybe on the cards. That is a beautiful step through with Narvalo able to go down there, and R8 do lose one in the meantime. It is very, very difficult to make your way past this roadblock.
Vicious just go for a bit of a salvage play here. They leave one player behind to defend off against those angles and send a bit further forward into the circle. I think that's a smart play coming through from the Vicious. Obviously, it's not going to net them a lot of points, but you got to do what you got to do. Unfortunately, they are spotted out by RJC.
Oh dear, it's just Icy now remaining. He's going to drop back, get some supplies maybe on board. RRQ back and forth with Enigma Galaxy all the way on the south edge here, playing on the road ridges. Nades back and forth. Already one knock sent towards RRQ. A long-range shutdown over towards Satan on Enigma Galaxy, taking away that off angle. And no res there available. RRQ pulling themselves back up, want to stay alive as 3. A nade does not quite connect either. Unfortunate stuff. R8 and Foot still going at it.
It's raging over this side. I mean, Frozen, last player alive last game, last player alive here once again. Catch does find Lord. That's all through. We're starting to make their way in from that southeast. And I think the R8 should comfortably clear. Frozen, you say that, starts to pop off with the S12K.
I mean, he got into second place in the last match. Enigma Galaxy, they've only got one player around the rock. 1 and 2 nearly go down. That res, though, going to be very, very difficult. I don't think they've got time to get that fourth player, or that third player, rather, back up in an action. Frozen is still going against R8 here. Gets that first aid off as well. Slips down the cliff, unfortunately. And Marth is cooking an aid to try and send after him.
Yeah, Marth's going to try and launch it. Goes a little bit further than he might have expected. One player down in the front does not have time to go for this res here. The second goes even further. He is sort of whiffing here just a little bit. But it's a tough position to be in, and it looks like you might be right here, John. Frozen might just do it again. Jumps the vehicle, tries to bait the sound cue, and through the smoke, a demon in the mist.
My goodness me, Frozen puts them on ice. That is nasty coming on through. Foot have a guardian angel somewhere who is laughing. That is incredible stuff coming on through. R8 go down to it, and now we're going to refocus to the southeast side as Ulf trying to march their way up. You've got Gaming Stars, Boom, Loops as well for them to try and deal with. The circle shifts down to the southeast and gives them a little bit more time to play with.
GSTR getting pretty far into a lot of these matches, honestly. They are holding their own here. They are down towards 12th place, sadly, but again, I think you got to give them credit for how far they get into a lot of these games. They're always prevalent towards the 18 to 20 minute mark, which is great to see from a squad like that. Aaron having the back off. This is funny that Ulf has basically said, Aaron, you now need to go deal with the entirety of Boom. You got a 1v4 last time. You can do that again, right? Surely.
Crack on, lad. Give him 6 nades, see what he can do. He is downhill this time, and it doesn't look like he has first aids. I think he might be a bandage only, or maybe stims ticking up. Yeah, it's bandages. He's only got bandages for Ulf.
Yeah, that's not ideal. It's going to take Aaron a little bit of time here to wrap the entire body, it seems. The rest of Ulf still up as 4, though. But for how long? Because I think Aaron evacuating this portion of the map, pretty difficult.
Very, very difficult. Under the purview of Boom. I think it might need some smoke cover or maybe some assistance from the rest of Ulf because they are only dealing with half of Loops on this northern flank. So it feels a little bit... He's taking so much more damage. He spent so long healing the back up. And now there you are. Ruin it for him. Nade over. That's going to be the knock. Okay, yeah. Aaron now down.
It's going to happen eventually.
Not going to commit for it.
Yeah, it really is a case of Ulf. Where are the boys? Where are the boys right now? They are pincered, to be honest, and I think right now for Aaron, his big objective was to delay as much as you can. But Boom are moving in, and they're about to be stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Up to the other 3 of Ulf. Loops going to be moving in. They had 2 players in here. Now they're going to move in as a full roster. All 4 of them in the action. Ketch does have the bunker. I mean, this is probably the saving grace, although it can eat nades and just trap them underneath your feet. Really know where to go if you're able to pop one in there. But it can also give you cover. If Boom step up, no, Boom completely back off the angle. They're gonna go west.
Off the side here. I mean, for Boom, sort of understand it. You hear the fighting going on that east side. You've cleared a little bit of the west anyway, so now you start to pull on back this way, see what else you can find. Frozen is on a mission, by the way, an absolute mission to look for somewhere to stay, and finally does go down to RJC.
The angle's just not going to work out for him, and now with 10 teams remaining, looks like Ulf will have their fights, but already a lot of damage to go down. That is TT Project as well chiming in onto the engagement. More nades pouring out from the bunkers. This is a really difficult push now coming through as Diego goes down. That is Gaming Stars chiming in. Solus falls though, and Vitinho might try and get that flush.
Get him!
Flush, go and get the res, No, they're going to let him go. Ulf, unfortunate. They are going to be playing on us too though, and with 4 elims, they'll be happy. Boom, who could have pushed into that point, now stepping towards RJS, as well as T2K and BTR, still up on that northern side. This is a difficult approach as well.
Sad stuff. That Ulf getting absolutely blasted by GSTR, who go for a big old third party on this one. It's the remainder of Ulf, and they just send directly down. This is a very aggressive send out coming through from GSTR.
Boom do manage to dispatch the team underneath them, and now BTR on the northern side look to try and roll down the hill. They have got the compound, they have got that high ground, but it's not going to be in the next circle. Hustler crew, who have been a little bit quiet up until now, are in a bit of a strong position. TT, though, I think they've got their eyes on it.
For Hustler Crew, you can empathize why they're playing slow. They know that for them, a decently large game, 10, 12 points, is what they need to get themselves back in the running. It's quite tight towards the top of the tables, and you just need one decent game to get yourself on that springboard. So I understand it from Hustler Crew's perspective, but there is a lot of four-man squads here, and that's what's going to really test you in the end game.
I think fortunately for them, BTR is kind of stuck because of Boom. They are locked into this fight. They're much more concerned with getting down the hill. When that fight concludes, if TT and the team on the west side try and push into them, it will start to struggle. But that hasn't happened yet. There's still a lot of time, and they can also make moves themselves. They could potentially try and flex out in one direction or the other. But he may be in danger there, but just to hop back in the vehicle and wrap back around to the rest of Hustler Crew.
Boom has been on the last legs for quite a bit, right? You know, going from fight to fight, not kind of finding that success here. And now Hustler Crew come up against TT Project. Effect opens in a big way over towards Loco. One of the best fraggers on the team for Hustler Crew. It's looking like it might be going from bad to worse as more and more players take damage. AZM is down and Hustler Crew seems to just be getting bulldozed.
This is a huge opportunity for BTR. TT Project did have a knock sent their way, a big double nade and a shutdown immediately. Hustler Crew get nothing for their position. That is unfortunate stuff for them. I thought BTR might be able to third party this with TT having a player knocked and then being a little bit split, but they were more preoccupied with Boom and trying to put the pressure on them. Turn the screws on that southwest side.
Interesting endgame. You don't often get endgames like this. Four-man squads. Anything can happen. Third party's going to be a big deal. Yumi moves up to the plate here, gets the first knock over towards BTR. Razy desperately edging his way back to the rest of the squad, trying to get that knock res, but an instant off angle sent through, a rundown from Boom, but they are getting torn to bits.
There is an off angle coming through from TT Project. BTR, I don't think they make it out of this, but I don't think Boom do either. They didn't see the approaching danger from across the ridgeline, and now TT Project have complete control over this entire fight with the numbers just going their way. A flush does come through with a nade from Boom, but I don't know how much further they could go.
GSTR looking to wrap over towards the west. TT Project doing the same, and in that moment, the circle moves east, John.
Okay, everybody has to move back over towards the east side. More eliminations come on through, and Boom do fall. Now BTR trapped in the middle, but who's going to make that break to the east side first? TT Project are starting to envelop, and they are going to take charge of the northern side of this next part of the circle.
This is a decision that you have to make. If you are TT Project, but losing effect is bad, it's a decision they have to make. We wrap towards the east, we give up on some of these flushes, some of these eliminations to get more presence in the circle. It looks like Neos is doing just fine.
4 players alive, 4 gaming stars here as well. With TT Project losing 1, the numbers advantage is there, and they do have a little bit of a foothold on the western side. TT Project being isolated, 2 players close to Federalis. He finds 1. Zerich goes down, and they haven't managed to answer just yet. Neo's there in a spot of bother potentially. He knows exactly where he is. His sights are trained on him. Federalis steps up, but the bullets just don't connect. Blank.
I think that's a classic case of pulling your thumb off of the aim down sights button. M79 pulled out here, tries to get the res off, but the shots are coming through so quickly. Mini 14 also at distance here, getting a good amount of damage done.
Gaming stars, they forced TT, well, rather TT had to go for a regroup. They moved their solo player from the north side back on in, and immediately that vacuum was filled. Gaming stars able to take the chicken dinner, and with a decent elim count as well.
Yeah, it's a slow-paced game. Love their wrap down towards the southeast side to take down Ulf. They moved out of the circle to do that, but they've already cleared out so much of the space on the northern edge, and they had time to do it. Overall though, TT Project, their rotation on the north side was pretty cool too, with the way they went about it.
Welcome to the stream, brother.
Bit of a slower paced game though, definitely, on our side of things. BTR consistently in the conversation, as is Ulf. There's some clear teams moving ahead of the pack.
Absolutely. Really interesting stuff. coming through from that game. I'm sure the desk have a lot of opinions about quite a few things there. Obviously, the plane path still pretty brutal on that match. The circle was a lot more reasonable. The big feature of that circle was, of course, Stalber and that big northern shift that we saw in stage 2.
Yeah, I think for Stalber, it's such a problematic area of the map to play in a lot of times for these teams where you're trying to cross up the uphill, you've got all these rocky outcrops to deal with. A lot of times it isolates those fights when you don't really want them to be isolated. You want to get the third parties in. It's tough, John.
Absolutely. But in the end, only one team weathered the storm. Gaming Stars able to take the chicken dinner.
This ain't no regular thing. I came for the ring, you know what I mean. I shoot my shot and it's clean. This is my city, yeah, this is my team. If you talking and talk to me nice, I play with all of my life. You see my name in the lights, better get right, I'm champion.
And that's Gaming Stars with the pop-off chicken dinner there. Oh, we saw some knife action at the start as well, dude. These circles have been just getting crazy, guys. They are ping-ponging all over the place. We headed all the way up to Stalber on that one. And with that nice little circle shift on over to the east side, Gaming Stars, they took advantage and were able to get the win.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, Gaming Stars were gifted a great position in the circle. Like, the circle magnet was present, but in this game in particular, Seven, they were not too passive. They were actually getting involved in the conversation. That third party onto Loops and Ulf actually is what allowed them to get even more control at the end of their match and make sure they secure that chicken dinner.
It was a better win than what we saw at the Wolves. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, 100%.
much better win. But I'm hoping we get even better wins. Now, something I do want to mention is with BTR, I thought they were gonna end up being a little bit more proactive, but they just ended up being sandwiched. I wish they would have just set their mind to whether it was the south where Boom was or the north where TT Project was, and just try to
That is not Oh, nice try.
Some teams are going to move faster than others. Unfortunately, Scarface does not move fast enough. He is out of the game. So Ulf going to be playing as 3 now, which is far from ideal, I think. It's safe to say. Their mansion prison split area, their shelter mansion split rather, sorry, isn't going to go well for them. Not this time around. They do lose 1. And a difficult path towards the west now. A lot harder now they're on 3.
Definitely. I think for Ulf as well, currently in 3rd place, like that's a tough loss at the start of the 4th match of the day. It's still possible to get some more points on board. For them right now, they're looking at 6-5 points. Like that's a comfortable margin to hit to stay in the running. For RJC, on the other hand, the boys we just talked about on the desk there, for Africas, it would be amazing to get this team in. And with that 1 point, they make it into top 6. Currently 24 points. Obviously, it's pretty close, you know, 24 points down to 18th in 18 points on 10th. But definitely doable. Very, very much definitely doable. And would be a huge achievement for that region.
There's the replay on it. Finding it in a vehicle rundown. That is a nice little spray out. Nice to find. R8 moving past the hospital now. Likely going to post up and see what they can find in the area. They've already got a little bit of looting on board. They can grab some vehicles, get towards South George and pick through there should they want to. A couple of those compounds in the area too. GK probably have one of the, well, not longest if they go for the west bridge, but unlikely that they do. That east bridge rotate, putting them at the back of the queue, potentially make it difficult for them to get through. So many teams now on that south side. Difficult path on in.
First time we actually see Yaz in play as well with that playing path. Vicious actually able to pick that one up. Likely looking for the loot vehicle as well. Grab yourself some weapons, vests, helmets potentially, which is nice.
Head to head of two of our teams there. A couple of stat comparisons for some solid players coming on through so far in the first 3 matches. Fourth match now on the cards, and our final Erangel is underway. Unleashing the vehicles from the garage there. RRQ stepping in for their rotate out towards the west. Teams are now starting to crunch in together, Blank, and this is going to be tricky. Wolves trying to make their way through, but they're quite split right now, and actually Foot is going to be between them. Going to make it tough for them to regroup onto one another. So it could potentially be Wolves losing a player on the front. We'll have to wait and see if they are able to get that regroup. Because right now, it's not super important for Foot to push out to it. They may just be able to isolate it and play for that one later on.
Yeah, I think for BTR as well, these guys were a little bit further towards that northern edge. Trying to make their way on over now. They 5 minutes to go for. I think this is far east side. We were looking towards the center there. T2K, it was a big 1 coming through from the guys over on the desk for that team to do better. You know, try and have a similar performance to Horror from yesterday. Represent that region. Yeah, you can see BTR all the way in Kameshki at the moment. So a long drive in for these guys. Hustler Crew, once again, I think their macro in the early game is great, but it's a case of winning fights, which seems to be the defining factor.
Yeah, or rather the lack thereof of any one fight so far. I think they got 1 elim in that last match, and then went down to that north side engagement. They haven't stuck to their Ruins split here, but they are 2-1-1, leaving 2 back up towards Ruins and Boatyard, and moved 2 forwards towards the Gatka fields to be that opener.
The big difference, though, right, for a lot of our squads at the moment is with yesterday, there were teams clear and ahead away at this point, right? Pandem was very secure at this point. But I still think there's quite a bit of opportunity towards the bottom of the tables. You know, looking at a little bit more now as time has gone on. No team is speeding that far ahead. For DK and Hustler Crew, I will say at this point in time, you know, chicken dinner, get yourself 20 points. Suddenly you're in range, and I think that's due to a lot of teams profiting over the day. There's been a lot of different teams getting some good, strong matches as things have gone on. It's very, very important because, again, with this format, sometimes by match 3 it can be over. Sometimes by match 3, it can still be all open, and that's what we're currently looking at right now coming into match 4.
Yeah, I mean, nobody is even over that 40-point threshold at this point. If BTR absolutely lose it over these next 3 matches, there's no guarantee that they're in, even though they've been performing pretty solidly, I think it's safe to say. Most consistent team in the lobby by far. But yeah, it's not all done and dusted for them. They still got a little bit more to do, as does everybody else. So definitely wanted to keep things going. What I will say is, though, there are a lot of teams that are safe from full elimination, including BTR. Probably anyone in the top 6 right now is pretty much totally safe.
Yeah, you're cleared. I think the big thing, though, is that going off that 40-point threshold like you were talking about earlier, that's kind of where we ended up yesterday. This is with teams that were doing so much more than other squads, right? It was exponential towards that top side of the lobby, but it was around 41. Which sat on the 6th place margin. So that's what teams are looking for. If BTR can hit 41, I think, you know, 42, 43 points, that's a nice position to put yourself in where even if you're down to top 6, to 6th place, you're fine. Once again, you've got Hustler Crew on a bit of a wide split right now. They try to confirm a lot of spots. I think that this makes sense when the circle isn't defined over towards this location of the map. But at this stage of the game, I think this split is ill-advised.
Well, I think they have realized that it's ill-advised at least, which is good news, and have seemingly managed to regroup, or certainly started to regroup. Okay, gets caught in the corner of a building that I don't think you could even stop off here. I think even this split is bold right now for Hustler Crew. But they want to go for it. Okay, they're going 2-2 right now in a very, very important set of compounds.
Yeah, very important compounds, actually. I think that you're going to get crashed on at some point, especially if it comes further down towards the south. Again, we got to take into account it's stage 2, right? Stage 3 is likely where this is going to come a little bit more to bear if the circle centers up once again, in which case, Hustler Crew, you have to decide. You have to decide on a building to take at that point. I think the northeast building is usually better, but depending on the circle, if you go down towards the southwest, you might want to head down there in the first place. But you do want access to that backside of Everest eventually.
Vicious taking out tires on the vehicle as well. Going to make that regroup even harder if they want to go for it. Vicious currently occupying the top of Everest, so they do have oversight on it. But I'm imagining that they're going to get some neighbors fairly soon. Top of Everest will be in the sights of many, I'm sure. And Gaming Stars looking to try and get up there right now. They're pushing up on the western side, and they've got a foothold further out to that west edge. And actually trying to get past Enigma Galaxy, who sit just down to the southwest point of Everest.
They have 2 splits, actually. I think Enigma Galaxy split's probably a little bit more aggressive than even Hustlers. They're currently playing over towards the western side and over towards just underneath Castle in Ruins. Yeah, curious split there coming through from them. Hustler Crew yet to move either. The Vicious took the opportunity to move on the top of Everest at the moment. GSTR are moving in. They're coming off a lot of momentum today. This team was not on our minds that much. We thought that they were a decent squad, but to do this well today is very, very surprising, but also impressive.
I mean, they are one of many Turkish teams in this tournament right now. Obviously, only 2 of them in Group B. We saw 2 Turkish teams in Group A as well. And I feel like of the 4 of them, Gaming Stars is maybe the least notable, if you'll yeah, I think that's right to say. I am asking for forgiveness because always calling someone not notable feels a bit mean, but I think it's safe to say when you're comparing with Ida, with Foot, with S2G, very obviously, it's definitely a lot less recognition, and the players on side as well don't quite have that same recognition in that front. So it's great to see that they're stepping up with the best of them. And now they might have to step down because it is from the top of Everest down towards the south side with Circle Shift.
Yeah, I think most people will recognize Swash on the squad, but there is some other names there that maybe people won't recognize from previous tournaments. Just got ball with TT Project there for just a second. RJC, another one over towards Loops. Law looking to try and help his body out. Barafinha's already down from that watchtower position. RJC consistently taking advantage of opportunities beset around the map, which is great to see. You know, this is some nice macro coming out from this squad so far.
Shots from Law still keeping enemies at bay. Loops already losing one is not great news. RJC will be all too happy to keep them locked in, although they do have to get a move on as well. They don't have a lot of time to be playing this one out. Taking a look at our split, both Nick McGalaxy and Hustler Crew have regrouped onto compounds in the circle, which is good news, I think it's safe to say. Both teams will be playing as 4 as well, so they'll be in some fairly controlling compounds. Loops try and make their move. They're going to leave from that position across the river, and RJC not really going to be able to stop them, although they were able to take down the player earlier, of course.
Yeah, TT Project had to swing over towards Everest, but they knew it was going to have to be through the field. So they did get caught out on one player here. BTR also making their way in. R8 doing a fantastic job today, actually holding the outer edges of the circle, because although maybe not a huge amount of super big endgame finishes, they've been picking up a fair amount of points just through eliminations alone.
I think that's the case for quite a few teams, actually, as well, at the moment. Obviously, not too many placement points to be given out just yet, and a lot of elims come on through. R8 with BTR going back and forth, but I mean, BTR seem to just have this one in hand. There's not much that's slowing them down, except for seemingly that bridge line. And R8 not quite able to get it, needs the reload on the Scar, and yeah, can't quite find the spray down there. Fortunately for BTR, they will not be losing one out in the open, and will remain fairly healthy as well. Second knock, I think, was there for them. And now R8 down to 2 players.
That ridgeside was crazy. I don't really know what happened there, but it felt like we had turbo supercharged brakes on that vehicle. I've never seen someone stop so fast before. But yeah, BTR do make their way over towards this southwest compound. A very, very famous compound, honestly, where a lot of fights are lost and won in terms of those chicken dinners. Sadly, it is further out. So they've got to get further in here. And as you can see, just by taking a quick glance towards the circle itself, oh my God, that's a lot of field right now. The lawnmowers are going to have to be pulled out to try and catch some of these players off guard playing inside the grass.
The chopsticks, a big feature on that southeast side, stretching out near Gatka. Teams will be looking to try and jump in there, I guarantee you, as well as the compounds that sit ringing that field area. More damage pouring on through across to T2K as they are suffering, trying to make their way across and into the open. It looks like they are going to lose at least one there. Yeah, they have lost a player on that crossing, but they do manage to get to a position fairly solid for the time being in this next circle, Blank.
This is okay. It's okay for now. RJC do need another checkpoint, and that checkpoint is far away, though. It's very far away, and it's past BTR. They need to make that work with. Good exit moment here from the Vicious, just as a slew of nades are lobbed over the top of the rocks here. Icy already found a little bit of a landing point for them. Boom is off in the distance. You can see Federales there once again taking shots over towards RJC. We sort of expected this to happen. There's a mad dash happening from RJC. They're just looking to get a player in the circle. That's all they want.
There's a fight as well on the south side for control of the base of the chopsticks. RRQ, Geeky, we're on board with them now. The nades are flying. RRQ are suffering more than Geeky at this point, and they might be being pushed down to the bottom 2 with this one. The drop down, 2 players fall on in, and that is going to be RRQ out, as well as RJC in the meantime. And Geeky take position from RRQ out of the bottom 2.
Yeah, I mean, RRQ dropping down towards 15th. That is a big result, right? That is a crazy result. A lot of players, a lot of teams, a lot of fans had their eyes over towards RRQ as being one of the big contenders here inside the lobby. Not the case. Not the case for Geeky. It's a big deal for them, though. Easy for Bad Boy is a fantastic player on that team. I think he does have the star power on that squad. But yeah, for a lot of these other matches, we just haven't seen a lot out of Geeky. The 4 points here drops them up above them to 7 points. We've got to remember, they started this match on 3.
Every point matters, especially when you're competing for one of those survival stage spots. Get real dicey. You need to take them when you get them. Vicious descending from Everest successfully. Boom, trying to cross the streams there as they rotate on through and past, but a good opener for Vicious. Finding one, finding two. Koa able to hold his nerve. Out and up in the blue. They do have an outpost still, but all four of Vicious are alive, and Boom are shredded in half, down to 2.
Yeah, Narfalo goes down as well. He is living for the time being, but I think it's very unlikely he stays alive now. As Boom were able to get the initial knock, but Hustler Crew looking to finish the job. Vicious was a tough push in. Boom, it was even tougher as they were sent away with just one player alive. BTR makes the push over towards R8, will clean them out. And a position to play. I mean, BTR has been struggling on the outer edges for such a long time now. I'm very surprised they get this spot, and they kept in another time. Gatka, a focal position here on the map. Vicious move in. It's a big maneuver from Wolves.
Vicious tried to crash into the center there. It's not going to go well. Icy will not be able to control over his two teammates there. Two players from Wolves rolling on in with the nades pulled already. I think Necessary might be able to just get that one done and dusted right there. Does do a lot of damage, but doesn't quite find the full knock there. Has to heal. Doran is resable, and in comes TT. Okay, this is a chance maybe for Icy to regroup, but no, Doran, I mean, Elementrix really hungry for that one, and Doran does fall, but now TT are a real big danger for Wolves. They've put themselves into separate buildings. They've isolated themselves from one another, and TT could potentially exploit that.
There's tons of teams here. I mean, you've got TT, you've got Vicious, Wolves, as well as the lone player from Boom on the northeast side of Gatka. It is one of the final compounds still left in this lobby. It makes sense considering its horrible zone around the rest of the map. Most teams are going to be looking for third parties here. It's going to be third party central over towards Gatka at the moment.
Absolutely. There's some replays on how RRQ went down with the drop down, the passenger seat. Spin out, and another team joins in Gatka as we hop back into the action. Gaming Stars, fresh off their chicken dinner, with all four of their players, roll on in blank. They are wanting to get stuck straight on through, and the Wolves, with one of their players in that corner, the other three up on the other end, will have to try and hold it off. Zedwolf for foot, holding the window, doing so very, very nicely, and spins for a second as well. He's good for a 1v2, of course he is, but his teammates, not so lucky.
Swain down, and he's last left alive now. Like I said, though, you're going to have to get the rolling pin out over in Gatka because it's time to make that bread. I think this is the only way you can earn enough points over towards Gatka's side is if you come out on top of a lot of these engagements. Zedwolf finally goes down to rules here from T2K, but similarly, the final player left alive. And we wanted to see more out of the Nepali squad, but not meant to be.
It's unfortunate. Denied yet another performance with 3 elims and 1 player alive. Gotta wonder how much further he can go. Hustler Crew, again, they're on 2 elims now, but on this north side, if they can get rid of Enigma Galaxy, they're gonna have a lot of latitude to play around with. Ulf will make it hard though. They are taking shots out that way as the Lone Ranger from T2K is gonna send up towards the north side across the open fields. Does have some terrain cover here, can slow it down potentially, but I think that was a tire. Yeah, is there a tire out on that one? I think he might have just been able to survive it, but still on half HP, has to drift a little bit further forwards. There's a knock from Enigma Galaxy over towards Hustler Crew, which might make his approach even easier. Ketch, however, definitely knows where he is.
Yeah, Satan finding that one. It's a great maneuver from them. Hustler Crew have to move out from their compound, immediately lose a player in the process. They had the lineup to take shots over towards Enigma Galaxy here. They do get one down, but like you say, very resable. Gaming Stars up against Necessary on the top floor. They're looking a little bit raggedy, a little bit worse for wear on the bottom floor there, but, you know, just living out for the time being. Hard Southern shift. This feels likely that it's going to remove itself from Gatka as well, and so many teams already pushed in here from earlier.
I mean, Geeke might be onto a winner here on that south side. You're talking about the jump-up potential. They're on 5 elims. They have a solid compound for now. They have the ability to get out into the field where the teams in Gatka don't, right? They don't have that ability to lead because everybody else is going to try and go for it. Wolves on the hold, on the solo hold on the inside of the building. His 3 teammates nowhere to be seen across the other side of the town. So close yet so far. Won't be able to have an impact on that hold at all. The Gaming Stars get their building all to themselves.
It's a good building to hold as well, you know, the double story, a lot of windows to work with, so a lot of sight lines. Equally, that means a lot of holes in the building to send the nades through, which is always a little bit worrying, but they can use the sound cues to their advantage. Hustler crew, Loco immediately down to the guys on Enigma Galaxy. There is a slight clapback here coming through from Vinny, but it's not meant to be, and they don't find much more off this match.
They do manage to get the points to break the tie at the top there, and they are in 14th, but with GK on 4 players alive, it's unlikely that they're going to stay there. The placement points will be kicking in very, very soon. You imagine that maybe Boo is going to go down, although they are in Gatka, so maybe a little bit easier. But yeah, Enigma Galaxy give that placement point, and GK will be back up on towards the top 14 to evade those bottom 2 spots. Wolves, okay, nades back and forth on the inside, but there's still scraps happening around the edges, and Ulf have got a fighting chance on the east side.
Great nade, really good nade, and once again it comes through from Eren. Who else?
Beautiful pin. Will be able to open up that eastern side with 3 players alive. They are a force to be reckoned with in this position too. Everybody in here needs to conclude this fight. They need this fight to conclude because it is just such a standoff. Nobody can leave whilst another team survives inside this one. The good news is that they don't have to leave just yet.
Well, no one wants to make the first move. No one wants to push their pawn 2 spaces forward here. Because immediately as soon as they do that, they're going to get a huge amount of other squads coming in. And this game of chess does get nasty. Gaming Stars do get a cross, though, so they have more buildings to work around with. Having the southeast side is also pretty cool. BTR, are you real?
Okay.
They're going for the southwest side. I mean, you don't have much choice, honestly, so BTR need to be consistent here, and TT just tried to spread across in the meantime.
There was a flush immediately onto BTR, and they're only playing as 2. They're the only 2. Upstairs for 1. Federal is in the corner trying to hide, and Razy keeps them safe for now. Axel wants to find the final shoulder of that one, but it's not going to work out. And BTR lose another. On the outside, they do find another for them, but TT does go down. So the corner is theirs, but at the cost of 2.
The big thing, though, TT get themselves up towards 37 points. BTR, 43. I think at this point in time, BTR can probably go down and be very safe going in towards the final 2 matches of the day. Any more points they earn right now is just a lovely bit of buffer for them.
A little bit of breathing room is always nice, especially in a lobby like this, with so much on the line. Gaming Stars, I mean, they are now in the only corner of Gatka in this circle, as well as having all 4 of their players alive. It's them and Geeke, for me, that are really the 2 opposing forces. But Geeke are going to struggle to move for quite a while now. They have managed to get a player forwards, but once these teams on the Northwest start to have to pop off against one another, they can start to move a lot more freely.
For Geeke, all this is about is trying to get control over as much of the field as possible as early as they can. They should know that most of the teams are going to be in Gatka at this point in time, which is why they want to start moving up, because the closer you are towards the center, the better setup you have, the easier it's going to be to win this end game. I think what they're most worried about right now is that team on their north in Ulf, but they're down to just 1 final player, is Eren. Scary player to go up against, but should be fine.
Yeah, my guy can 1v4 you easy. Easy. I mean, if you can do it to BTR, do it to Geeke, surely. Surely. It's just a question of having a really good hill and nades and also lots of pressure from loads of other teams. But maybe he has that.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does.
Doesn't have the uphill.
Wolves. Molotov in hand. Looking to send it through. I mean, both BTR and Wolves have similar ideas here. Well, what a nade from Maniac, and it certainly was a Maniac of a play to start things off. Wolves in disarray.
2 players down, 1 now to stand. The flush is coming through thick and fast. Maniac is not going to go down to the nade out the window either, as Elementrix looks to try and chase him back. Will go down, and it's the burn from BTR because they've pushed in the meantime. They want a third party. They want to get stuck in even further to this one. Nades up on high, looking for a lot of damage towards Gaming Stars, and they have been able to find it. it's difficult for them to hold this one out with a knock on the ground floor. They've already isolated that sightline. Federalis with another nade. GK looking on and jealous that they aren't getting these points on their tally, but happy that teams are starting to fall. More nades still for BTR to post in through the window. Elementrix is going to bombard them from the opposite side as well as the top floor for Rolex, needing to try and keep it under control. 2 players are standing. They need to get this res on the ground floor to have a semblance of a chance of getting out. An unfortunate bounce there doesn't catch Rolex.
Been quite a few of those so far, but I think it is difficult. Got to give him credit at the moment just because of the amount of smokes that had to be thrown in for BTR to even make this play in the first place. Razy gets up, still has 3 more nades, which is so silly. BTR saved up every little bit of util for this exact moment.
And now Gaming Stars only have 1 player on the north, and it will be difficult for them. BTR, in the meantime, just running a rampage on the inside of the building. They moved in against TT. They've run through Gaming Stars now, and Elementrix maybe on the chopping block too. A nade out the window and 12 elims for BTR. Rolex drops down, trying to change the story, but he's going to get forced away, and they shut down by Geeke. Out in the open now, this is the time that Geeke need to have the control, need to have every angle under lock and key.
But no matter what we say during this game, one thing is clear, BTR is back.
Spray down, 1 down, 2 down. BTR are out, but Eren is surviving up into 2nd place. He's out in the blue zone. This may very well be a point denial. Strafe across, the blue zone claims it.
2 of them, dude.
He got 2 knocks there? Okay, Eren's still giving it good up until the last moment, but you said blank. All it might take is for Geeke to get a decent chicken dinner, and they could be up there. They very much have just found that.
That's what it's all about. You know, it all comes together in those final games of the day. BTR, though, what a wonderful match from them. Really difficult spots on the map to work with. They had some rubbish compounds on the western side. Circle kept moving away from them. Little rotations here and there. And then the big decision that they were going to clear from the western edge of Gatka. But it makes so much more sense knowing how much utility they had. They were just waiting for it to come to a boiling point.
Beautiful stuff. Geeke held their nerve on the south side. A lot of teams more focused up towards the areas around Everest. They played that south edge nicely. Able to move through. It wasn't huge on the Elim count, if not mistaken. I think they may have been able to get up towards 10. But it's not a massive point score for them. As much as it is a very needed one to get out of the bottom spots, it's going to be a little bit further before they can think about jumping into the top 6.
Absolutely is. But Geeke, they opened the door. The question is whether they can step through it now. Ulf looking good, BTR looking great. It's time to finish this off with 2 more matches on the day.
I don't got time for the messing of gold. If this the Olympics, I'm taking a gold. I'm taking a
And that's a massive win on the side of Geeke, having a horrible first half of the day. Now, finally, getting a chicken dinner and pulling them out of the fire here, Max.
Can we say they pulled an S2G? Can we start to use that here for this event? Really, what happened? But yeah, no, they were playing it safe. I think they knew, right, that a lot of the teams were just focused on that northern position in the compound, trying to exit outside of Gatka. So they just were able to bide their time and wait for the teams to be at their weakest to strike and get a relatively low elimination chicken dinner at the end of the day, but still one that will keep them safe from that bottom 2.
They knew that Big Brother, BTR, was just going to be going into Gatka and spanking everybody that was in there. This team is playing with confidence. This team, ladies and gentlemen, we got to watch out for the next 2 matches because they're going to be doing something that I didn't expect some of the other squads to do yesterday, especially when I thought about Random on the second match. This team is going to continue to be that aggressive, and they're going to continue to push crazy stuff as well, Max.
We just had a slow-mo, by the way, with the sniper shot.
Oh, man.
That was such a sick shot from the western side. But look, the nades from our boys, Razy and Federalis 7. We're like proud parents right now looking at this team, swiping every single team inside of this city, looking so good in the process, bro.
Give me
me from Gatka?
Yeah, they will be out there. They will be out there.
Yeah. I don't have a smoke. Maybe I will get knocked.
I knock her.
Nice one.
Last one on the right.
Check it, check drive. Go drive, right.
I see him, oh, here, in front. Kill him.
I can't see
On my way. GG!
Nice.
Let's fucking go!
Let's go indeed, Geeky. That's how you do it. Get that chicken dinner and make it happen. So great on the side of them. I do want to harp back on BTR, though, because, man, I'll tell you what. This team is just looking like they're on another level here. I mean, honestly, when I saw Pandem perform in the way they performed yesterday, I was like, this looks like they're going to be the dominant Indonesian squad. But, yeah, that was silenced really quick because I'm telling you, just that play in Gatka was ridiculous.
BTR is the best Indonesian squad in this tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say it.
I would say in the world right now, actually, even. I would say out of every single team. From
Saying that.
Yeah.
For this group or just for the whole
in general,
tournament?
Indonesia right now.
Wow.
The best.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fair. That's fair to say.
I went big scale.
Unreal. Here you can see, look right now at our match MVP, Ragnarok. You know, 3 eliminations, 366 damage. That is great for them as well. But you know what? I want to talk about another team here, Seven, right? And that is Nigma Galaxy, right? What do you think about them in that last match?
I'm getting flashbacks, boys. I'm getting flashbacks as we look at the top 4 players here. Our boys! Racy, got him. Federalis, putting up those numbers for the squad. By the way, shout out to Wolves. They actually ended up getting more eliminations in this match. 1 player lot alone. Slonic ended up getting more eliminations by himself than they did when they got the win. But we were talking about Nigma Galaxy. I'm starting to get flashbacks of what happened yesterday to Alpha 7. And Alpha 7 is probably currently watching the show from the plane. So if you're Nigma Galaxy, you need to start reacting. You need to start waking up. I know Coops is not here, but you need to be able to readjust. Somebody's got to be able to pick up that slack.
Yeah, I mean, if Coops was here, maybe it would be very similar to Eren, just solo carrying the team for Ulf, for example. Which actually, I want to kind of talk about Ulf.
Yeah.
Sure, they do get 10 points this game. I'm not impressed. I am not seeing the PMGC second place squad of 2025 we saw in Thailand. We keep seeing them as a solo or a duo in the late game. Where's that full team presence, Hot Jukes, that we've seen in that past global tournament? So far, it's not been happening, and Eren alone might be the reason they can make it in top 6, so we need to see more team effort around Eren, because as a solo, those wins, it's just not going to happen.
I see your frustration, you know. On the other hand, you know, they're in 3rd place with 39 points without a full team, which is pretty crazy, right?
I'm going for finals, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If they did have that full squad, I mean, I think we'd see them here at the pretty much on top. But the way BTR has been playing, though, so dang good. 36 eliminations, 52 points total. Welcome to the finals, BTR. We're going to see Megatron in the finals in their hometown in Indonesia.
We're going to be seeing BTR probably dominate the next 2 matches too, because now this squad has absolutely nothing to lose, and they're going to be in a position where they're going to be very confident. So for all those other rosters that are trying to make sure they stay within close range of the top 6 or trying to stay within the top 6, you have to watch out for BTR, because they just showcase that they don't really give a damn. If they see you, they're going to push you.
Yeah, next Force Reject, though, in 9th position. The jump up is still possible for this team heading into Miramar. And actually looking back at PMGO Africa, Miramar was actually a really good map of this. I don't know if it's their favorite, but gameplay-wise, looking really strong, really consistent. I feel like that could be their one opportunity to make it in the top 6 and finally leave that pesky 2nd page that we just don't like to see a team be on.
And I'm going to be looking at some of the other teams. I know I talked about Nigma Galaxy earlier. I'm going to be looking at Loops as well. This is a squad, Brazil. We always go into Miramar. We always expect them to be able to at least start putting up some points. They need to take advantage of this. Right now, they are just 3 points clear of being in the bottom 2. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a team that we were hyping up as saying, if they go to the finals, if they finish more than top 6 in the finals of this PMGO Season 1, they could end up knocking out Alpha 7. Alpha 7 right now, they're really happy with Loop's performance.
Man, all I know is that if I'm Alpha 7, I'm talking to Bigatron right now, and I'm being like, guys, you know, we're friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all guys, I really like the way you play. You know, I loved your hometown of Indonesia. You know what I'm saying?
That is not permitted. You can't do that.
I know. You can see.
Hot you're evil, man. Don't
I'm
get them
kidding.
to do bad stuff.
I'm just joking. I mean, yeah, look at that. I mean, Loops are right now, they're in the hot seat big time going into Miramar. And it'd be crazy to see them not make it, to be honest.
Actually, there's a team that I want to see make it, but so far has been slipping very slightly. It's going to be R8, right? Sure, Enigma Galaxy struggling a lot, but R8, they were in the top 6 until this game, where they did slip just below Wolves, because Wolves were inside that city, got some eliminations on Vicious, which actually really good fight from Wolves there. Really enjoyed it. One of the best fights from them so far, the entirety of today's games. But I do need to see R8 step up a little bit more here, because they only have, what is it, 6 placement points? Which, over the course of 4 games, 3 Wrangles, 1 Rondo, that is nowhere near enough what we need to see from this squad.
And it's definitely not enough. And they're kind of lucky in a way that BTR is going to continue to steal points from some of their squads because they're just going to keep compacting this leaderboard even more and more. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just to refresh your memory, what happened yesterday before we went into the last 2 Miramars, we did have a team go from 15th place into the top 6. So anything can happen going into this next 2 Miramars. And I just don't know which team might end up doing what S2G was able to do yesterday.
Well, you know, GK won already. You know what I'm saying? If they win a back-to-back one here, that could put them in a good position. You're right, though. I mean, we could see the last place team rocket launch themselves in these last 2 Miramars of the day.
For me, I like that they stepped it up in a big way in that last match. But from previous matches, they're just being too passive for my liking.
It wasn't them being aggressive. It's teams pushing on them and them defending it. I want to see them being the one to engage those fights and actually taking home those wins.
Yep.
Well, this is a big win that is needed for so many squads. Let's see who's going to be able to pull it out as we go into our first Miramar of the day with our casters, John Allen and Blank.
Thank you very much. Over on the desk of breaking it all down, we are going to be with a hop, skip, and a jump into the hot desert sun. And it's time to get stuck straight on in. I'm watching out for any hot drops. I don't expect any, but you never know. It could, of course, come to pass. But seemingly, our teams are keeping each other at arm's distance. R8 and Loops a little bit close together, but they're just dropping long, grabbing some vehicles near Hacienda and San Martin. They'll be getting on their way, extricating themselves from one another's clasps, grasps, grips, something like that. Choose one of those 3.
Yeah, one of those. One of those is all good. Very eastern playing path, though, so it does force a lot of teams over towards that eastern slope down towards the water. It's a bit unfortunate. We don't really get to see a lot of Monte Nuevo, Chumacera, El Pozo. That's a bit more difficult to get towards, as is La Cobreria. So there's going to be a bit of a migrate over towards that western side of the map coming through. R8 starting Hacienda, though. It's a good position to begin in. Picardo held by RRQ, and RRQ is desperate for points, so Picardo is a big boon to them. Having Picardo open is a lovely spot to rotate from wherever you want on the map. But like I said, more important for RRQ, it just gives them options, and they desperately need those.
Wolves going to be one of the first teams to make that western migrate that you were talking about. Seems like they're going to post up probably towards Monte Nuevo. I imagine that's where they want to draw short. I think going up towards all the way in El Pozo, I think that's a bit too far, given that you have to wrap back around and reinsert essentially from where you just came from. I think Monte Nuevo is a much more sensible idea for Wolves. We'll see if that's where they stop off, or if they're going to go the full distance, go the full Monte Nuevo. As you like that one.
Yeah, that was a tickler. That was good.
That was a bit of a tickler. Okay, it's a Partona drop coming through from Gaming Stars there. In second place right now, and definitely not the Turkish team that we thought we'd see at the top.
No, not at all. I think that, honestly, with this format, we did predictions before this started.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's so volatile with 6 matches. It's very hard to predict the top 6. I think that we got 3 out of the 6 so far, which is great.
I think we both had RRQ.
Yeah, we did both have RRQ, which is a bit of a nightmare. But again, this is what we're talking about. Yesterday, I think we'd have all predicted Alpha 7. They went out. It's tough to say. I think you really do need to be locked in on the day when it comes through. But for TT Project, I was tempted to talk about these guys, tempted to predict them. They have a lot of my favorite players from in the past, from Mad Bulls. We loved that team back in the day, and then they sort of dissipated for reasons unknown at the time.
Well, at least said. As they are going to try and get that reformation going, though, on that south side. They're near towards Valle de Mar, and will be rotating in probably past Montenuevo, maybe up towards La Duguera, and getting in that way. They could, of course, break down towards the south side and wrap Chumacera on their way. Puerto Paraiso is the territory of BTR, and I don't think anyone's going to try and take that from them. I feel like it might be a bit of a mistake.
Well, Seven put it really well on the desk, is the sense that BTR can play with a huge amount of confidence now, and there's no reason for them not to, especially if they have the data from yesterday. I think that's the big boon coming today as Group B, is that you roughly know where the markers are. Most teams are like, if we're above 40 points, we should be set. But that depends on a point sponge, right? I think as soon as you get above 50, you know you're in towards that top 3 bracket from yesterday, which means that there's no way you're going out at that point.
Yeah.
So for BTR, their run's done. They're in a similar boat to Horror yesterday with some really good points on board. 52 at this stage of the day is fantastic. They might even overtake Horror on these last 2 matches, which would be phenomenal. Again, the Indonesian team doing an absolutely incredible amount of work today. But again, I wanted to pose a question to you, John, in terms of where do you think the cutoff lies right now? Because I think there's only 2 teams that can be really taken over, and that's the Vicious and Wolves at the moment. I think everyone else is a little bit too far up.
See, this is the thing, right? Because it's a 6-match set, I think it's more volatile than even that. I think Ulf, whilst close, and you're right, like Gaming Stars also potentially could drop down. It's unlikely that more than one of those 3 teams has a bad game. So, or a bad 2 games, rather.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's potential for one of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th place teams right now to drop down and have one of those 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place teams, maybe even 11th for Foot, jump up with big games coming through into these next 2. So, yeah, I think you're pretty on the money in that Vicious and Wolves are the most volatile in terms of their position right now, but there's definitely a world where TT, Ulf, and Gaming Stars could drop down.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we go back to yesterday, Boars, 5th match of the day, 0 point, big goose egg. And I think that actually costed them the top 6.
Yeah.
Even if they'd got 1 elimination out of that fight, very different story at the end of the day, which is a really sad thing when it comes to it.
But that does put Boars in the survival stage, which is a frightening prospect for a lot of these teams.
It is, yeah. But yeah, I'd agree with you. 11th place here. I think that there's a very unlikely possibility we see another S2G moment coming out at the end of the day here. I just don't see it happening. And even if it did happen, again, those have to be big games. And for T2K, Nick Galaxy, Loops, I'm not really sure. I think that the big outside chance probably is Loops here to have 2 massive games, but we're talking like in the 1%, right?
Yeah, that's a real outside chance. You're right. I mean, as they were saying back on the desk as well, Alpha 7 would love it if Loops got dropped down as well. So,
oh, dude, actually, I didn't even consider that. Yeah, if Loops go out in 15th, 16th, then for South America's, it's easy pickings for Alpha 7. They still go through to PMWC because remember, Loops need to get top 6 overall in the tournament.
You've got Boars sending straight in from the east, going straight into La Cobraria as deep as they can.
They lose 1.
And moving straight on through. They do indeed lose 1. They're trying to keep up pace, but Furia are taking
a real power behind these players, as we've seen and as we've talked about. It's just not been brought to bear in these first 4 matches, as maybe they'll have their mental reset on Miramar. Of course, going into a new map.
Okay,
new map. Let's forget about what's happened. We are going to play on Miramar game. It's an untested quantity. We don't know how it's going to fare against these other teams. They can definitely have that mental reset here. I'm hoping that something similar can happen for Hustler Crew, but it's still just losing fights. They're not setting themselves up repeatedly to lose these fights. So I think really the struggle at the bottom, that's a tough shift, but the struggle at the bottom is really between RRQ and Loops, as well as the teams that sit slightly above that.
Yeah, 100%. Again, we'll keep a close eye on Loops as well as RRQ because, yeah, very huge storylines there overall. For RRQ to go out, big deal. For Loops to go out, even bigger. Right now, though, we do get this rough circle shift over towards the northeast side. You've got the crossroads involved here towards the eastern side of Hacienda del Patron. You've got the fields that sit up towards that eastern area too, which is a little bit rough. And what a lot of people will refer to as Graveyard Valley, which is the Valley of Death, down towards the eastern side of Picado. That's a horrible spot to play for a lot of teams. So an uncomfortable area of the map to open up into.
Okay. First knocks, first blood coming on through now. Foot have gone down to 3. Boomer taking casualties as well. Heavy hits, blasting them back, but they will stay alive as 4 blank. So not to worry for our Boom fans out there. Another hometown team. Looking to try and break their way in towards the top 6. So not losing a player here, very important for their run against it.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer now to top 6. 2 Indo teams in the top 6 would be an unbelievable result, honestly. Like we said, for RRQ, the chance is it's so minimal that we're not even going to consider it. For Hustler Crew, on the other hand, like you say, the fights just haven't been won. I think they came into this tournament with really high hopes, but was sort of humbled by a global lobby, which is fair enough, right? It's your first taste of like international action, so sometimes it can be a bit too spicy.
Yeah, they definitely have. They definitely have some confidence coming into this one for sure. But you're right, they do need to swallow that bitter pill. Vicious though, able to run toe-to-toe with TT. Back and forth, both teams taking knocks, but it looks like TT are coming off worse on this one, but Doran goes down as well, and that might be turning things around. Zerich with the oversight, as well as Athezaz on that high ground might just cut Vicious a little bit too deep for them to be able to recover on this one. Where is the rest of Vicious? Okay, I say the rest of Vicious, only the one player, actually, for them. Guess who it is? It's Narvalo.
Well, for Narvalo, he needs to pick up the flushes. That's the only thing he can do. But right now, they are so in cover that it's almost impossible. He could try and pick up Zerich as he pushes his way in here. That's the best he could do. Tries to go for the prone for a little bit more stability. I got to hit these shots, and he does. It's very, very nice. Immediately looks for the spray transfer. Can't quite find it. Again, these guys need points. They're on 30 here. It's going to come down to the last match if it's meant to be.
Peppering the ground around them. He's guarding out Zerich. Knows that these points are valuable. Wanting to keep them in towards the top 6. Remember, they are not safe at all. So every point is going to matter. Both for them and for TT as well. So the more damage he can do, the closer he can keep them in terms of those overall standings. The breakout in the blue zone. It's not going to tick super hard just yet, but the blue zone does shift away from them. A little bit closer to the east side. Neo's actually breaking all the way up. Trying to get close and in Narvalo's face. Bandages being popped as well. Narvalo is on half HP. Does have to worry. 2 first aids there, and he's going to pop one now.
Again, you can see exactly what he's doing there. He's trying to guard out Zerich, like you say. Swings up the road, needs to hit these shots over towards Neos. Gets a double tag, but it's not enough. And Neos is just playing distract at the moment. Nade pulled out, but he just keeps backing it up. This is infuriating for the Vicious.
Beautiful stuff for Neos to be able to stay alive there, but he goes back in. This is really dangerous stuff. The rest of his team are now back up and alive. Maybe they're going to just try and get rid of Narvalo entirely. Steps forwards, and the blue zone and the micros is just too much. The Vicious go down. Nil point.
कोई बात नहीं हम तो दोबारा ट्राई करेंगे.
The longest time playing alongside with Robs finds himself now in a very similar situation today. The Vicious have one more shot at it. Around about a 10-12 point match on their final game. Not an easy task, and there's a huge amount of pressure bearing down upon you like a hydraulic press on that final match. Unfun, I would say, for the Vicious. They've got to hope a lot of these teams underneath don't do really all that well.
As well, without R8 giving them too much trouble because of it. In the meantime, TT with all 4 of their players are going to be swinging out past water treatment, north of San Martin, north of Hacienda. And entering on the northern edge against
नाम
RJC
क्या हाल है?
on that side of things. RRQ, are they going to get stuck straight in against R8? They're going
बस
to try
अल्लाह
and
का
split the
शुक्र.
middle.
लॉबी में? नाइस. इनवाइट मैंने आपको सेंड की है, शायद आपके पास आई हो. ओके. स्क्वाड खेले उस दिन की तरह टीटीपी. मैं कहता हूँ स्क्वाड में ज़्यादा मज़ा आता है रैंडम टीममेट्स के साथ. आज भी हो रहा है वो. वो जो ई स्पोर्ट्स कल हो रही थी पबजी मोबाइल की. अच्छा. सही है. चांस है या नहीं? हम्म. 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 जी जी जी. अच्छा. सही सही. हम्म. अच्छा हैक कर रहे थे वो. अच्छा. नहीं शर्मनाक बात है. कहाँ उतरना है? इधर चलें बोट यार्ड. उधर चले जाते हैं. हाँ. मैं इसको फॉलो कर रहा था. हमारा ई स्पोर्ट्स का सीन इतना वैसे तगड़ा नहीं है. खाली वो ये जो टेकन 3 वगैरह गेम्स हैं वो भी ऐश अरसलान खान की वजह से, वरना उसमें भी इतनी पॉपुलैरिटी नहीं थी. हम्म. ऐसे डोटा तो पुरानी गेम हो गई है. सही. ये दूसरी गेम्स है ना जो मतलब यूरोप वगैरह में ज़्यादा पॉपुलर हैं या अमेरिका में, जिस तरह कॉल ऑफ ड्यूटी या ये रेम्बो 6 आपने शायद सुनी हो. उसमें हाँ पाकिस्तान इतना नहीं खेलते. वीएसएस मिल गई उतरते साथ ही. बड़ी बात है. हाँ अच्छा है. व्यूज़ हैं. आपको उसका पता है वो एक स्ट्रीमर है रेम्बो 6 का, शायद सुना हो आप. जिंक्सी उसका नाम है. जिंक्सी. अच्छा वो ट्विच पे ना सबसे मतलब जो जिसके सबसे ज़्यादा व्यूज़ आते हैं ना वो आदमी है. जिंक्सी ना. जी जी मैं करता हूँ. तो वो जो पहले 2 साल जब उसने अपना स्ट्रीमिंग करियर शुरू किया ना, उसके एक व्यूज़ भी नहीं आते थे. सिर्फ उसके जो बाबा होते थे ना वो उसको देखा करते थे उस टाइम. जो शुरू के उसके पहले 2 साल इस तरह गुजरे हैं, और आज वो ट्विच का सबसे ज़्यादा फेमस आदमी. ऐसी है. मेरे पास भी है. ईपी वो है ना फ्लेयर इमरजेंसी. हाँ हाँ हाँ. अच्छा वो वाला पैराशूट. जी जी सही है. वालेकुम अस्सलाम. करार भाई आ गए हैं.
वालेकुम अस्सलाम, कैसे हैं आप लोग?
बेहतरीन। आप बताएं कहाँ थे इतनी देर?
मैं यार फैमिली के साथ गया हुआ था कश्मीर।
अच्छा।
कल आ गया था लेकिन बस थोड़ा सा बिजी था।
सही।
रात को खेल रहा था लेकिन वो रैंक वाले बॉयज़ आए हुए थे उनके साथ। स्क्रीन तो शेयर कर दो कोई।
कौन करेगा? आप करने लगे एहसास
एतजाज़
भाई?
आप कर लो।
इनको ओपन कैसे करते हैं जो इमरजेंसी फ्लेयर से आते हैं ड्रॉप्स?
बस जाके पास टैब दबाएं।
नहीं आ रहा कुछ भी।
एफ दबाएं।
कुछ नहीं है, पत्थर सा है बस।
नहीं ये नहीं ओपन होते, ये इमरजेंसी कवर है।
अच्छा।
या ये ओपन में अगर आपकी फाइट हो जाती है किसी के साथ।
मैंने तो एमी ज़ाया कर दिया फिर फ्लेयर यूज़ करके। नहीं यूज़ कर
नहीं
लिया मैंने।
फ्लेयर नहीं फ्लेयर 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 का तो ड्रॉप आएगा, वो तो टाइम लगेगा थोड़ा सा। प्लेन आएगा वो ड्रॉप करेगा।
अच्छा, ये फ्लेयर ही थी वैसे, उसके बाद ही आया है फ्लेयर के बाद।
नहीं इसको इमरजेंसी कवर बोलते हैं, ये फ्लेयर नहीं है।
ओके।
ये इस तरह है कि आपकी ओपन में फाइट होगी है किसी के साथ, एनिमी के साथ, और फील्ड ओपन है, आपके पास कवर नहीं है। उस
जी
सिचुएशन
जी।
में आप ये गिरा लें तो आपको कवर मिल
हम्म।
जाएगा।
समझ। ये आ गई है ना, ये सामने है। बुलाओ इनको। Guys, I think we should go to the zone now. Number 2, we're waiting for you. AFK now. इसमें नहीं है, हॉर्न नहीं है इसमें।
लेफ्ट क्लिक।
नहीं है इसमें, नहीं है। BRDM में नहीं होता। ओके, मार्क करें कहाँ चलना है।
जी ज़बरदस्त।
आप होते कहाँ पे वैसे? इस्लामाबाद?
या रावलपिंडी।
अच्छा, रावलपिंडी। सही।
हाँ। कम कम करना चाहिए। आपकी DPI क्या है? 800? 800 है तो इसको कम करें, इसको आप 0.87 पे लेके जाएं।
चढ़ जाएगी यहाँ पे? नहीं, नहीं चढ़ रही।
हाँ आहिस्ता आहिस्ता डिक्रीज करो। और इसका ना, इसका ये होता है कि मैच के ड्यूरिंग आप इसको ना सेट करो, आप इसको
लो, ये क्या हुआ?
ट्रेनिंग में जाके ना इसको सेट करो।
आ गया। मुझे नहीं पता था इतनी हैवी किस्म की है।
हाँ ये नहीं चढ़ती।
इसको तो देख के वो याद आ गया, IGI 2 का तीसरा मिशन, अगर किसी ने खेला हो। यप। वो किसी की कस्टम स्किन लगी हुई है US पे। अच्छा उतर रहे कहाँ है? Okay. करें जंप जंप जंप। ये हम आ चुके हैं। ऐसे एमो शैमो मेरे पास इतना कोई नहीं है। हाँ उधर जॉर्जा पोल। किधर है किधर है? देख के वालेकुम सलाम, क्या हालात हैं?
ठीक, आप सुनाए?
तीन
हाँ चल गया यार, कनेक्टर मिला मुझे, फिर जाके चला।
ये जो क्रीप वाला है इसको मारे। मैगजीन नहीं है मेरे पास VSS। इनको कवर में नहीं रहना चाहिए थे, क्यों रोड पे पुश कर रहे हैं? VSS मुश्किल है यूज़ करना। इनका स्क्वाड होगा। अपने पिंग पे देखें, ग्रीन पिंग नॉक किया मैंने एक। इसका बुलेट ड्रॉप कितना ज़्यादा है। कर रहे हैं। वो जहाँ वाइट स्मोक है ना, सास भाई उधर देखें के राइट पे। उधर भी रियल ही है जहाँ स्मोक हुई है। बिल्डिंग में वो रहे। डिस्टेंस क्या डिस्टेंस? यहाँ फायर कर रहे हैं। नंबर 2 नॉक हो गया पीछे। पीछे ना चले। आ जाए पीछे चलते हैं। हो गया अभी जाएं कैसे पीछे। स्नाइप हुआ होगा। Number 2, where did you get shot from? माइक होगा तो बोलेगा। मुझे लग रहा है राइट से साउथ ईस्ट। या फॉल डैमेज ना पड़ा हो, गिरा हो कहीं। गाड़ी गाड़ी गाड़ी। नहीं दूर है। यहाँ पहले से थे। बहुत थोड़ी है, 30 गोलियाँ हैं। पोजीशन पे हम जल्दी आ गए पहले। देख रहा हूँ उसको। हाँ इधर ही लैंड किया। पुश करते हैं, आ जाएं। नॉट नाइस। हाँ मैं जा रहा हूँ मुझे भी सुनो दे सेम ही चाहिए एमो दोनों का। नाइन का एमो ले लिया, मैं ड्रॉप करता हूँ बस आ। ये ले इधर तो ज़रा दूर हो नंबर 2 से। और भी लें 9 का नहीं है क्या मेरे पास 40 है। वो देखिए वो पैराशूट से बंदा जा रहा है मेरी पिंग। गाड़ी की आवाज़ आ रही है। ये जोन आया हमारे साथ ड्रॉप। स्नाइप पड़ रहा है हमें, नंबर 2 को पड़ा है। ये साउथ। आएंगे ये M24 को यूज़ करा सप्रेसर लगा के। किधर से होता है चल ये मुझे भी मार रहा है बेवकूफ ग्रेनेड गाड़ी वाले इधर आएंगे कि चिप लेना चाह रहा था तो जाना कैसे है पीछे भी हैं हमारे आगे भी हैं मैं देख रहा हूँ पीछे से कोई ना आ रहा हो नहीं C4 है सामने जो है ना नहीं मेरे से थ्रो नहीं हो रहा पता नहीं क्यों नहीं नहीं कह रहा है डिप्लॉय करना है डिप्लॉय अटैच करना पड़ेगा ना अच्छा भी एम नहीं है मेरा अभी थर्ड पर्सन में यही तो मसला है वो आराम से मुझे देख सकता है तो निकले निकले हम पीछे से लगता है पुश हो रहे हैं पीछे से आ रहे होंगे उसका हेडशॉट एक मारा है नंबर 2 भी नॉक अच्छा नहीं खेला पहला मैच था वार्म अप आहिस्ता आहिस्ता होगा एम
जी जी
आ जाए
हाँ हाँ लॉबी में ही हूँ
आईडी क्या है
एक मिनट में गेम में तो ऑनलाइन मुझे शो हो रहे हैं ये लेकिन नॉट
मुझे भी
जॉइनेबल
शो
आ
हो
रहा
रहे
है
हैं
हाँ
आ गया आ गया आ गया किधर है हमजा
हाँ ये एक आया एक एक्सेप्ट
सारे आ गए।
Yep. अभी स्ट्रीम ऑफ कर लें एतजाज।
यार एंगल ही लगा जा रहा है। अच्छा एफपी, हाँ सॉरी सॉरी करार भाई, भूल गया।
कोई मसला नहीं, कोई मसला नहीं है, टीपीपी खेल लेते हैं।
के बाद चेंज कर लेंगे।
नो वरीज। Let's follow the squadron leader.
कौन है?
आप।
अच्छा ये तो मैं कह रहा हूँ इधर चलते हैं, फेरी पियर।
चलें। इधर ही गए थे आई गेस।
नहीं इसके थोड़ा सा आगे, वो जहाँ पे रिकॉल टावर है ना, उसके ऊपर गए थे।
ओके। हाँ आप लोग इधर गए थे, यस।
अरे साथ कोई आ रहा, दूर है हमारे।
3 बंदे हैं, एक आगे जा रहे हैं।
कोई नहीं आया, हमारा राइट क्लियर है। एसकेएस अच्छी गन है करार भाई, रेकमेंड करेंगे इसको यूज़ करना?
यस अच्छी गन है।
सिक्स पड़ा है।
मैं ले लेता हूँ।
मैं उन्हीं को देखने आया था वैसे।
एक था मैंने ले लिए। अगर एक्सटेंडेड मैग मिले तो बताइएगा। ये हैंडगन।
X ये पड़ा एक्स्ट्रा।
मेरा नहीं ख्याल वो हमें पुश करेंगे। हाँ वो स्प्रेड उतरे थे। आई डोंट नो, मेरे ख्याल से चढ़ सकते हैं लेकिन बाइक पे, ऐसे पैदल नहीं।
पैदल मैंने बीच में से चढ़ने की ट्राई की थी, बस आधे तक ही चढ़ सका था। नहीं, पबजी मोबाइल वाले यहाँ पे नहीं चल रही। मैंने बहुत ट्राई की हैं वो।
चलें जोन में, क्या ख्याल है?
चलते हैं। लूटेड है क्या घर?
आगे में इधर से लेफ्ट से ही जोन में निकलना था। कम बंदे हैं, रेज हो रहा है कोई वहाँ पे।